warfare. Red alert, it's warfare. We mentally and physically caught in the crosshair. The fight is for the soul, so many have lost their son. They trying to change your image like women in false hair. The cross bear, the image that the lost share. Unaware Satan's declared war and all's fair. It cost their souls a fortune. The scorching 70 times hotter than the earth's portion. Caution, red alert, caution. They sizing up my people like a slave auction. I told us taking on the soul of every lost one. Run, son, better yet, retreat, son. The beast run the system for a simple reason. Control thoughts that haven't been taught is treason. Think, son, better yet, reflect, son. The rate of maximum state pen erection. The modern day enslaving of dark complexion. With this wicked prison industry out complex, son. Red alert, red alert, red alert. All I got told you, I'm calling. This is an urgent warning, because a storm is coming. Red alert, we don't need no more inequality. And we can't take no more police brutality. So when we see one time, only one thing's on our mind. Lock and load. Red alert, red alert, red alert. Red alert, 41 shots the Bronx heard, but still they let the murderers walk like clockwork. Damn if I don't wanna go make my Glock work like a slave to the rhythm of shots till cops heard. It's too late to convert when you're in the dirt facing your eternal damnation. It feel great when you send the devil.
Love, peace and love to the family. How's everybody doing today? Just want to let y'all know, man, that we really appreciate, you guys, attending to our show, the Aquarian NUR that we just kicked off. And we need support because I'm trying to bring you guys, man, the best speakers out here and for you to enjoy this show, man, that we have, man, Aquarian NUR, going into this Aquarian energy. And it's like they say, it's a great reset, and it is a reset, and we need to all reset our minds. And like I said, once again, I got the best speakers, man, that's going to be on these platforms, man. So if you can support the team, because this is a team effort, it's just not me, you know what I mean? So I have a Cash App, which is $ Ali Productions. And also I have a PayPal, which is paypal.me/091765. And if you guys can support and donate in any type of way, man, we will be appreciated, man, because this is a teamwork and all of us need to collectively come together, man, so we can get our birthright back, because it was definitely stolen. And a lot of us need to understand and wake up how it's stolen, and so we can do something about it, because it's our time, man. Peace.
Islam. It's been a while. Yeah. Man, it's been a while. Love to see y'all. Got the big brother, man, Sheik, Tarik Bay, and our brother Lamont L. Hey, man, this stuff, man, that's going on here today just changed the whole dynamics of things. You know what I mean? We was doing our classes like every Tuesday, every other Tuesday, and bam. Big stuff, man. It's not what you think it is. I mean, it's out there, but it's not what you think it is. And they just breaking all type of laws. Everything they doing is unconstitutional. Everything, and nobody is doing anything about it because they coercing everybody to do everything, and everybody's scared. Okay, can't be like that. You know. We got to stand up to this. And it's going to be a lot of lawsuits. It's going to be a lot of lawsuits, man, because Everything they're doing is unconstitutional. I mean, it's nothing in the Constitution where this is legit for someone to be working on their job for 30, 31, 32 years, and now if you don't get this jab, they're gonna fire you. What? Huh? That's crazy. So we've been telling people this stuff that's going on right now for the last really 30 years. Some 20, some 10 for you guys. But this is how long we've been telling the people about this, and now it done hit. And I'm really amazed at our people that they will run and take this jab, and you don't even know what's in it. You don't even know what's in it, and you're gonna run and take it, and then you're gonna listen and look, when have they ever done anything for us that was some good? Anything. They talking about we give you marijuana. In certain states, man, we'll pay your rent for 2 months. When have they ever done that? Never. So you're gonna run.
Sharice, I talked to Sharice the other day. So her daughter's mom, she put a magnet on her arm after her husband took the daughter.
This one sister that took the jab, and it left that.
No, that's a magnet.
That's a magnet on her arm.
Yeah, you go to YouTube, they got magnet challenge.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
It's a magnet on her arm.
Yeah, that's the,
Man, like, you're not putting anything in me. I'm trying to tell you. Hey, look, man, anybody that try to put anything in me, I don't care who you are, we going out of here, because I know once I leave here, I'm going to be in a better place anyway. You know what I mean? But we all come back here for this time right here. This is why we back here. All of us. We're back here for this time right here. We chose to come back here for this time. It's just that most of us forget. You know? But we got to, this still just the beginning. But man, we all really, man, we've been saying it for a long time, we all got to stick together on this thing. And I go online and I'm seeing Moors, man, talking dumb stuff, crazy stuff about Brother Tarik. Just, you know what, man? Like, where is the love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice? That's what we're supposed to be about. That's the tenets of this. So where's the love? I don't know. But we got a job to do. Hey, man, about to bring up this young warrior right here. Ready, bro? Let's give it up for Brother Lamont Maurice, man. Islam. Thank you all.
Thank you, Brother Ali, and Grand Sheik, Tarik Bey, and all of you all. I am Lamont Maurice L. I am holding the position of Consul General of Morocco at Maghreb Al-Aqsa, also known as Northwest Amexem, also known as Northwest Africa, also known as North America. Now, a lot of you all may not know about consular jurisdiction or may have heard of consular jurisdiction. What we're going to talk about tonight briefly, just for conceptual purposes, is consular jurisdiction and the 3 issues of law and how that relates to us, especially in this day of time as far as what they're doing. Like Brother Ali said, that they're compelling everyone to take the jab, whether you want to go to work, you know, to your jobs, your jobs, or if you are looking to, in the near future, travel, whether it be domestically or internationally, they have what is called, I think it's called I can't remember, but basically it's a vaccination something. Passport. Yeah, vaccination passport. Still dealing with license or permission because the word pass When you look up in the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th or 5th edition, you'll see that pass means permission, also license. So it's another thing that we're going to be going over, which is very important as far as words. But before we get started, the meaning of words, true meaning of words. But before we get started, I would like to open up this meeting, which we always do on Sundays during our civic workshops that we have on Zoom. We open up with the proclamation made by our illustrious prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and it reads, Moorish Science Temple of America, Home Office, 3603 Indiana Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, January 18th, 1929, Noble Drew Ali, founder. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Dear brother, Islam, I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as an American citizen, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it bad. Never before have I needed finance as badly as I do at present, that I may shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being the head. It has been proven by my work in which I have performed in the last few months, because I was at the governor's inauguration to represent the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and I will be at the inauguration of President Hoover for the same cause, Noble Drew Ali. And then we're going to go and read from chapter 25 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, chapter 25, a holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breasts of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. Islam. So what I just read from to be proclaimed in every meeting, that is very imperative that we individually study that, because it'll tell you where the discord and inharmonious acts are coming from, mostly, and it's from our people, and it has to do with jealousy, especially if you have grasped the principles of your ancient foremothers and forefathers, went back into that state of mind, and have enforced the Constitution and treaty principles and obligations, and were successful. You will be met with jealousy and envy. So you have to know how to deal with that. And it's not necessarily even dealing with it. It's just basically observing it, recognizing it for what it is, and move accordingly, but not to give it too much attention, because that's the whole point. They want to divert your attention from what you're doing or what you're studying. And it's to cause, what is the word? Besides distraction, to cause confusion and division. And if you see confusion and division, you know that's COINTELPRO operations. All right, so we have to know what we're looking at. But also I read from the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, because the Asiatic nation isn't just here. It's the Asiatics of the world. Another word for Asiatic is human, the human nation, which ultimately means everyone on this planet is not human. So we have a holy covenant, all right? That means the nations from around the world know, the civilized adepts, the scholars, they know this vow, because that's what that is. They're aware of it. And when they see other brothers and sisters that are in accordance with the principles of our ancient foremothers and forefathers, because our forefathers are their forefathers, same forefathers, then they do assist. They just assist in the background. You won't see it. You just make sure you carry out the work and complete the mission, whatever that mission is, even if it's as small as disputing the driver's license ticket, you know, that you get, you know, with traffic. Even though that's small, it's not small in their world, because everything that you sign and consent to, they profit off of. All right, I'm sure everyone should know that. But it's important to know that this covenant applies to us all, but in essence, I would say only if you're in your right state of mind, that the nations around the world will come to your aid, that your brothers and sisters who are of Asiatic descent will come to your aid. All right, that's basically human. But if you act and speak as if you're not human, as if your race is not human, but in other words, under the black codes or identified as black, Negro, colored, etc., then no, you will not be recognized. And with that, I'm going to start off with this manual. This manual that I have on the screen is called Consular Notification and Access. I don't know if you all are familiar with it. If not, please, you know, you can write it down, Google it, so that you can study it, because this manual is actually an instructions manual, all right? It's an instructions manual, and it'll say who it's for. So it's issued by the United States Department of State, which I used to be an employee of, and I'm sure that pissed a lot of people off that work there. No matter. This is the instructions for federal, state, and local law enforcement and other officials regarding foreign nationals in the United States and the rights of consular officials to assist them. Now, of course, those that know language know that what they're speaking is colored, all right? Because there is no such thing as in the United States, because the United States, as we all know, is a private corporation, right? You can be at United States because it's also in a jurisdiction. Just like you would have, just for conceptual purposes, you'll have Walmart, right? You have the building, then you have Walmart, and then in Walmart, or in the building where Walmart is exercising corporate jurisdiction, you have McDonald's, or you'll have a Starbucks. So soon as you walk from Walmart area to the McDonald's area, now you're considered allegedly in McDonald's. So that's a different jurisdiction, right? Although it's in the same building as Walmart. So that's how we have to look at this. However, we can't look at Maryland as being the land, or Virginia, because it's not the land. Now, of course, they want you to think that, because that's another way of them stealing your birthright. So if you identify it to be the land or the territory, right, you give up jurisdiction. All right, now, we'll go over that term jurisdiction soon. But I wanted to go over this briefly so that you all can see that Grand Sheik Tarik Bey told the truth. They do know. They do speak the language, right? We were the only ones that don't. So what we have to get out of the habit of doing is acting as if, or believing as if we're teaching them something, right? Because we're not. They already knew this. And the ones that are considered under the classification stateless or stateless persons, which in other words would be the branded Negro, black, colored, etc., that work for these policy enforcers, corporations, they're given certain degrees when they climb up the chain of command of that police department. So they are aware at some point, you know, in that employment position, they are made aware of who we are and how to deal with us, all right? Because they're given degrees. It's called the Fraternal Order of Police. And that is a non-profit religious organization, if you all did not know that. So the police department is not a law enforcement agency. And if you know words, remember etymology. It's the study of the origin and development of words. So you're speaking denotatively and not connotatively. We got to come out of that military operation way of speaking. You'll know that you can see the word police. You can change the E for a while. What do you have? You have policy. That's exactly what they're enforcing, and that is not law. And that comes by way of your consent, all right? And just because you don't say, I consent, doesn't necessarily mean you consented. And we'll go over that as well. So this is the section about this manual. And I'll read briefly. This manual contains instructions and guidance relating to the obligations of federal, state, and local government officials to provide information to foreign consular officers and to permit foreign consular officers to assist their nationals in the United States. And I'll skip down to the second paragraph, first sentence. This manual is designed to help ensure that foreign governments can extend appropriate consular services to their nationals in the United States, and that the United States complies with its legal obligations to such government. Here's the key. These legal obligations arise primarily from treaties, which form part of the supreme law of the land under Article 6 of the United States Constitution. The instructions and guidance contained in this manual must be followed by all federal, state, and local government officials, whether law enforcement, judicial, or other, insofar as they pertain to foreign nationals subject to the official's authority or to matters within the official's competence. So as you can see, these instructions must be followed. That means it's not a choice. All right? So what we're going to do now is go to the classifications that they have in this manual. All right? First classification would be foreign national. So we're scrolling down. If everyone, if you want the version that I highlighted, you know, in certain areas, you can go on the website enforcetheconstitution.org. And we have a sister, as soon as she's available, we have a sister that will pass out brochures that have our information, contact information on it. And you can go there, enforcetheconstitution.org, click on study materials for, study materials for Moors. Click on that web page, and then you'll see the manual there, as well as other materials for you to study. And you can click on consular court cases. You'll see more material there in regards to consular jurisdiction. So right now we're going to the questions, frequently asked questions, right here. So the first question that we're going over is this question. Who is a foreign national? The answer: for the purposes of consular notification and the instructions in this manual, a foreign national is any person who is not a U.S. citizen. I'll repeat, a foreign national is any person who is not a U.S. citizen. Then it says in parentheses, there are rare situations in which a person is neither a U.S. citizen nor a foreign national, i.e. is stateless. In such a case, consular notification requirements do not apply. Anyone know why?
Clear.
Islam, anyone know why? Why would consular notification requirements not apply in such cases dealing with stateless persons? You got it.
Please stand up.
Islam, you got a mic? 1 second, bro.
I mean, I don't know from.
No. This is think tank.
This is study for all.
This is for us to thinking again. Drew Ali said, if I get you more to thinking again, you save yourself. So you got it, bro.
from listening to the Moorish teachings, or our teachings, stateless person has no allegiance, so they have no backing by anyone. They just have punishment.
And regulation, you're absolutely right. That's the right answer. Because they have no allegiance to any principles of any nation.
Like an orphan.
Right. They're considered to be, and you all should write this down, abandoned vessels lost at sea. Pass the mic. Hold on 1 second on the mic so we can get it on the record.
And hold the mic close so that it can be on the record.
Okay, would that also apply to nobility?
You said, would it apply to nobility?
Right.
Well, who are the nobles?
We are.
Okay, but I'm looking at their so-called nobility, their hierarchy, is that included?
No, so we're talking citizenship. Right. So if you are a U.S. citizen, then that classification comes under the plausible 14th Amendment, which, as we all should know, is unconstitutional and void. So that's not a citizenship. It's a classification, but it is not a citizenship. That's U.S. citizen. Now, it says anyone who is not a U.S. citizen would be considered a foreign national. Now, question for everyone. Does the word foreign deal with the land? Absolutely not. Foreign deals with jurisdiction. So just because they classify you as a foreign national doesn't make you foreign to the land. Because who's classifying you? The United States Department of State. Are they foreign to the land? Yes. Are they foreign to the Aboriginal indigenous peoples of the land? Yes. So would they identify you to be foreign to them? Yes. That's why you're classified as foreign national. Right? Islam.
In accord.
Mike.
Press the button. I turned it off.
In accord with international law and maritime law, such persons or beings would be considered booty and prize. That's war. In other words, under war terms, it's sort of like if you think, like say if you're fishing or something like that, and you're sailing on the water and you're 20 miles off the shore, and you're not flying your colors, that means your flag, that's an abandoned ship, even if people are on it. And if someone attacks you and kills you, as a matter of fact, a lot of times, one of the things that the U.S. corporate three-letter agencies do to people, they take them past 20 miles and then neutralize them, then they can't be charged with murder.
Or international law.
Well, keep in mind, they've done that to people very often. And so what must be known and comprehended, what the Consul is speaking of, is making the distinction between aggregate territorial jurisdiction of the land, which you as a party must be clearly identified by consanguinity or by jus soli political allegiance. If not, you're no different than a log floating in the water. And anyone who claims it. Such beings are referred to as wardship property, minorities, terms like that, which means you're outside of the human family. Then you're subject to all kind of mistreatment, which is what has been happening to our people. And for many of you who understand or have heard of the branding systems that the hybrid Europeans used in the Maghreb or North America after they colonized, this is why they branded the people. Anyone who's branded is taken out of your heritability, and thus you're just like throwaway property. So people need to understand that treatment is a legal status and not them hating your complexion. That is a cover-up for escheating birthright. So we also need to understand colonial operations in their real function, not in an emotional sense. We need to understand the engineering. And what you find is many scholars among our own who know these things, most of them who are Masons know it, but they won't tell. They keep playing that black emotional march and pray game and then take our people's finances. Now the deal of it is that you need to know the rules of the game. And I'm appreciating the consular and all the other de jure officers operating on the land with civil jurisdiction that are sharing this information with you, because it is known by all scholars, but they won't tell you. It is known by all councilmen, they won't tell you. It's known by all the mayors, they won't tell you. It's known by all the pseudo-governors, they won't tell you. It's known by all professors of all the school and education systems, they won't tell you. They've been playing you. This is why many of them, when you bring up Noble Drali, they get mad, or they get twisted, or they act like they don't know what you're talking about, because he pulled the wool off of everybody, both the hybrid Europeans and the Asiatics among us who've been selling you out for generations.
Islam.
You know, and I want to mention one more thing too, because a lot of people are confused with this. As an example, when the 33-degree Mason, Martin Luther King, said, I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the promised land. Now, when you see that great seal on the back of that note, that debt note, that is the insignia of the Canaanite Moabite nation. That is yours. That's why you never see the hybrid speak under that. Are we clear?
Where?
In Masonry, that's called the mountaintop. That's another way of saying, I know the truth, I've been told the truth, I looked over the promised land, but I didn't tell my people. And before they knocked him off, he said, he said apologetically, my people are refugees in their own land. And you know how many people that went right over their head? He should have just came out and said, y'all the indigenous people, you're the real Americans, you've been played. And I, like many of your other so-called black leaders, have been paid off to play this black game with you. And now that I'm getting signals that I'm going to be neutralized, now I'm going to signify that I'm going to tell the truth. Well, guess what? Well, all of them 33, 32, and 33-degree Masons. That includes Jesse, Farrakhan. All of them are 33-degree Masons. All of them knew the truth. All of them wear that fez in secret. All of them know that these people are Moors, and they've been playing you. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. Get over it, you've been had, but learn for yourself. Don't believe anything that we say. We're going to give you reference points so you can research for yourselves. However, the problem that we're having right now is that they're liquidating everybody's estates, and the world will not trade with them anymore. And if you're not getting in your status, many of the people may not survive these next 2 years. So it's important for us to really get grounded, not emotionally, but with knowledge, and come together and really learn how to love instead of hate. And bring justice to the floor in all that you do. It must be done with knowledge. You cannot operate on emotion. But anyway, don't be booty and prize. Because booty and prize, if you're stateless, you're booty and prize. Yield the floor.
Islam.
Islam.
Absolute. So it's booty and prize, right? And that's listed in the rules as far as this game that they have been playing with us. And the game is your estate. That's the game. It is your estate. You think you're poor. You think they're not paying attention. You think you're not worth anything. You think that when you sign something, it doesn't really mean anything. Absolutely wrong. You are just plain rich, as Noble Drew Ali said. However, this Monopoly game that they've been playing with us, we didn't know the rules. It's just like sitting down playing Monopoly and you were never told the rules. And the opponent is going to allegedly tell you the rules, right? And the rules, according to what the opponent tells you, it's going to always go in his favor, right? That's why anything you say can and will be held against you. And there ain't gonna be no court of law, all right? That should tell you something. If they're saying that whatever you say can be used against you and will be used against you, then what does that say? That says that they have the upper hand. And that also says that your language is incorrect. That says that they've indoctrinated you and trained you under animal husbandry to speak connotatively via or by way of these institutions that they call schools. But if you look at it, I saw a side-by-side picture. Same school bus, prison bus. Same cafeteria, prison cafeteria. Same classroom, prison classroom. Ask me, I was there. Same thing. And you gotta have your ID around your neck just like you do in school. The institution that they call school. All right? So that lets you know by their very language, telling you anything you speak from your language will be held against you and can be held against you. That should tell you something. You don't know the rules. All right, so let's go to the supreme rules of the land. All right? That deals, and when we go here, you'll see what Grand Sheik is talking about as far as booty and prize, because we're going to it. We're going to the Library of Congress photo duplication copy of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1836, which is in force now, and it superseded the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1787. This is the mother treaty of all treaties that we have with our forefathers that was for the foreign hybrid European colonists and their descendants. All right, so we're going to Article 6 of this treaty. Remember, these are the rules, right? Rules of engagement. Also, let's keep in mind the purpose of this treaty. When you read the preface of the 1787 treaty, you'll see that the purpose of the treaty was for amity and commerce. That's friendship and trade. So that means they ain't here to call you a criminal, and they ain't here to lend you anything. They're just here to trade. Now, when you go to the Articles of Confederation of 1781 to Article 4, right? You'll see their classification. Paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice accepted shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities as citizens of the several states. Right? Paupers, what's paupers? Poor people. Vagabonds, wanderers. Fugitives from justice, people trying to escape the law or escape debt. That's their classification. How they get rich. How they become wealthy. How did they establish these financial institutions and call them banks and start lending you something that they don't have? If they were paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice, it's your estate. And it was done under this treaty. So let's go to Article 6 of the treaty. And I'll blow it up. Remember, these are the rules. Article 6. If any more shall bring citizens of the United States or their effects to His Majesty, the citizens shall immediately be set at liberty and the effects restored. And in like manner, if any more, not a subject of these dominions, shall make prize of any of the citizens of America or their effects, and bring them into any of the ports of His Majesty, they shall be immediately released, as they will then be considered as under His Majesty's protection. So, for the sake of time, we'll start in part the third sentence right here after the semicolon, where it says, and in like manner, if any more, comma, not a subject of these dominions. So they just made a distinction. So that means there are Moors that have or hold the classification allodial. Now, you all should write down allodial if you've never heard of that before. Allodial, A-L-L-O-D-I-A-L. Right? Allodial. When you go to the term allodial, you'll see that it means free and not subject to any feudal burden or duties. All right? Allodial. So, Article 6 identifies Moors whom are not subject of these dominions. So, the second classification is Moors that are subjects of these dominions. All right? It says, shall make prize of any of the citizens of America or their effects. Prize. Other words, booty and prize. See, Grand Sheik was right. It says, they shall be immediately, and bring them into any of the ports of his majesty. Now, for everyone that thought, if you read this before and you thought that his majesty only applied to the emperor of Morocco or the sultan of Morocco or colorably how they have now the king of Morocco, then you're mistaken. Because you got to go to the term majesty. It means nobility. All right? Now, what is the noble title called? Or what are the noble titles called? It's 5.
Ali.
El,
Bey,
Bey,
Day,
Al, Day, Ali. Islam. Thank you, brother. Thank you. So that's His Majesty. The nobility, the title of nobility is what you claimed, El or Bey. And if you hold the status, then you'll be granted the title Ali. All right? That's what they're referring to. It says, they shall be immediately released, as they will then be considered as under His Majesty's protection, under the protection of the birthright, under the protection of the nobility title, El Bey, Al Day, and Ali. It's a birthright. That's your inheritance. You claim it. However, you claiming it doesn't necessarily mean that you defended it, right? You have to defend it. Because it says, any more not a subject of these dominions. What makes a Moor a subject of these dominions? Anyone know?
Status, if you have a dead status, or in that instantaneous situation, you don't defend your status.
Islam. Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Javante Davis.
Islam.
God Almighty.
Islam. You on the road, bro. Anybody else? What makes a Moor a subject of these dominions? All right. So, Moor or Moorish American is the nationality. You all know that, right?
Yes.
It says any more, not a subject of these dominions. So guess what? Just because you know your nationality and you proclaim your nationality doesn't make you not a subject of these dominions. Because it's identified in the treaty, in the rules, that there are Moors that are subjects and there are Moors that are not subjects. The Moors that are subjects are branded Negro, black, and colored. The Moors that are not subjects don't allow that branding to happen. So let's go to the divine instructions of the Holy Prophet, which is found in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and we are going to chapter 47. Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. And we are starting at verse 15, from 15 to 17, because there's your answer. 15, the time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess its own. That means only you can confess it. Only you can confess your nationality and your principles. No one else. So anybody thinking the concept, such and such nationalized me, or I got nationalized by the Moorish Science Temple of America. No, you didn't. No one can nationalize you. Only you can. Just like no one can identify you. I can't, as Consul General, identify who you are without you confessing your own. All right? That has to be known. Also, principles. You have to confess your principles. It says, through sin and disobedience, 16, through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. 17, that is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774 all the way up to 2021. And the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe of whom they knew nothing. There's your answer. So what makes a Moor a subject of these dominions? When you stray after the gods of Europe of whom you knew nothing. And we ain't talking about the idol gods with the statue like Zeus and all that. No, we're not talking about that, because that's not what God means. God is a verb transitive. It means to invoke, to call upon, and to implore, or to pour out. So if you're clinging to the driver's license, which is an instrumentality of the Motor Vehicle Administration, which is a subsidiary of the state of Maryland Incorporated, which is the whole name being United States of Maryland Incorporated, which comes under the 14th Amendment, which is unconstitutional, you cling to that driver's license instrument, then you will be made a subject of these dominions, or classified as a subject of these dominions, and made booty and prize. Why? Because you're clinging to principles that delude to slavery. Driver's license, a permission to drive. You're not even driving. And even if you are driving for a company or for your own company, who said that you had to get permission from a foreign entity? Right? So that just, oh, I'm not driving, I'm traveling. So if you was driving, that's not supposed to be your response. Because if you're explaining yourself, you just identified yourself as a subject of these dominions. Why are you explaining yourself to him? He's at work. You're not. So if he's at work, he's in a subservient position. You have to know the rules of the game and the players in their position. So we got policy enforcers enforcing policy, which are really highwaymen in disguise. Think about that. What is the definition of a highwayman? You all should write that down. Highwayman.
Bandits.
Bandits.
Thieves.
One, a robber who sits on the side of the highway to rob travelers. Isn't that what they do?
Yes.
They sit right on the side of the highway, whether the light's on or off, and then see a traveler going past, and maybe got the little scanner to scan your driver's license tags, and he got some type of a flag, so let me go and pull him over, steal his car, without a search or seizure warrant,
That's almost sense.
kidnap him without an arrest warrant, and the national never asks for either one. Search warrant, seizure warrant, and arrest warrant, because that's what you're supposed to be asking for. Because for them to ask you anything, that's called a search. Look up the term search. Write down search. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th and 5th edition, search. And read the definition. Don't skip over the words that you don't understand. Write those words that you don't understand down within the definition of the word. And look that word up. That's how you study. So you want to look up search, because think about it. Remember, common sense is divine. And we all have it. All right? So search. If they're saying, can I see your driver's license and registration? That means it's not visible, whatever they're asking for. That means it's a search. They are searching. Or in other words, do you have a driver's license and registration? Now they're searching your mind. They're searching what you know. The appropriate response would be, well, upon receipt of a search warrant. Do you have that? Do you have a search warrant, sir? Well, no, I don't require a search warrant. You see, this is a traffic stop. Well, what does the term traffic mean? And you wouldn't ask him this. I'm asking you all. What does the term traffic mean in the Black's Law Dictionary? Anyone know? Let's go to it, because I think that's important. Traffic. We're in the 5th edition. It's like 20, okay. We're in the 5th edition. We're going to the term traffic. Right here, Black's Law Dictionary, 5th edition, page 1340. And it's highlighted, traffic. See what it says? It says commerce, trade, sale or exchange of merchandise, bills, money, and the like. So a traffic stop. What is a traffic stop? Commercial stop. So what are they doing? Trading. You want to know the trade that they're trying to accomplish? The traffic ticket for your automobile. So they leave you with the traffic ticket in exchange for what? The automobile.
Your property.
Your property that you allow them to have reversionary interest in because you registered your vehicle. So now they're exercising their reversionary interest in your automobile in exchange for a traffic ticket that you can't pay because you got to pay all debts in gold and silver. So it ain't about that. It's about your estate.
It's cheating.
The operations is called escheat, and they can only escheat if there's a corruption of the blood. All right? The corruption of the blood comes by the thought, because the thought is the cause of it all. Before you can perform the action and the deed, starts with the word. Words come from thought. So it's words, then actions and deeds. All right? Otherwise, they're going to escheat. Escheat is the reversion of the property or the estate to the state in the absence of any heir competent to make claim thereto. And it's not just making claim to land. No, it's making claim to your rights, that are, which is short for birthrights, right? Which can't be bought, sold, or transferred. It could be abandoned, but it also be reclaimed at any time. So with that, you all can visit enforcetheconstitution.org, and there's a link, traffic cases. There's another link, foreclosure cases. There's another link, adverse claim to property. And you can see the collusive actions that they call cases because they're not cases. Cases or controversies are between two or more parties, identifiable natural parties, natural person parties that can be identified and you can face. That's a case. If I have a claim against you, that's a case or controversy or dispute. State of Maryland versus this all cap name is not a case. It's called a collusive action. You should write that down, look it up in the dictionary. Collusive action. Collusive, that's collusion. Collusive action, and then you also want to look up color of law and compare the two. Because collusive actions are color of law.
Absolutely.
All right? Now you'll see those cases on, colorable cases, I should say, on the website, enforcetheconstitution.org. It was dealing with people that were appearing to face a foreclosure until, they sought a consultation. We spoke for an hour, and then they also sought consular assistance, which Islam.
Excuse me, until the law showed up.
Islam, that's all of us. Now, just to be clear, I'm not no better than any of you all. I just got the information a little quicker. That's why I'm here standing in front of you to pass this information to you, because the power belongs to you. The power is vested in you. Read the 9th and 10th Amendment. Power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution or reserved to the people. So that means you need to know your powers. What powers? Executive power, the power to enforce and execute the law. Legislative power, the power to make law. And judicial power, which this is going to require you to study. The power to interpret the law and apply the law. All right? That's your power. That's the power of the people. The power of government is the sovereign powers of the people of the land. Don't ever get it confused or twisted. They're pretending to be the sovereigns. I'm looking at the sovereigns. All right? So we fail here in thought. This is also where we rise, but that's also where the conflict is in chapter 1.
Islam.
All right? The soul plane is the subconscious. Those thoughts that come to you without your will and tell you things that you told yourself back in the day because it was still you. The soul is just the recorder, and it reminds you, but it also teaches you how far you came. So Those alleged cases, those culpable cases, all dismissed and closed. People got back into their houses, not because the sheriff or the court, the venue anyway, said, yeah, you can go back in your house. No. They issued writ of quo warranto, challenging the jurisdiction of the venue, identifying itself as the court, demanding for proof of delegation of authority order from Congress to be produced for the record as proof of their jurisdiction and judicial authorization to exercise the judicial power of the United States. They don't prove it, guess what? That judgment, that order is void. It's not voidable, it's void. But it ain't about what you know, it's about what you can prove. If that writ of quo warranto is recorded in their records, that means they acknowledged it. In other words, they gave it full faith and credit to your words in the writ of quo warranto. So now you have to give full faith and credit to your words, right? You issue, at that point, a default judgment on an affidavit. The default judgment is an order. It's not a request, it's an order. And you can study them, it's on the website. So upon receipt of that order and they certify it in their records, you get the certified copy, true test copy, or even the received stamp copy or file stamp copy, and you enforce it. Because people are like, I got my default judgment, quo warranto, I got everything. What do I do now? What do you think you do? You enforce it. That means you go back to your house, take that abandonment sticker off the front door, because they're going to have that on the front door if they got you out the house, the sheriffs. Take the notice, this property is determined to be vacant and or abandoned. Wasn't foreclosed. You already closed when you went to closing. That's why it's called closing. For everyone that did the mortgage contract, it's called closing. How you going to foreclose on something that's closed? And if you want to know what it was closed under, write this down. Title 12, United States Code, or USC, 95A, paragraph 2. That's what it was closed under.
Say that again.
Title 12, United States Code, 95A. Subsection A, paragraph 2. And it'll be, the number 2 will be in parentheses. Yeah, Google that. That's what they acquit and discharge all debt. You don't have to do that. They did that already after you went to closing. So you'll see there's 2 records going on, and I'm done. It's a double bookkeeping. It's called double bookkeeping. They'll show you the de facto books. But in secret, they're keeping other books, right? Which is what's really going on. And what you do is you make adverse claim to your property with a adverse claim of title and reversion of ancestral estate. That's on the website too for you all to study and examine and do it yourself. All right? You will be tested, right? Because that's in chapter 1. Just like Job was tested by the devil, by the permission of God, he only, good and faithful because you keep blessing him. Let me test him. This is in the book of Job. God said, go ahead, test my faithful servant. That's what's going on. All of these stories, these anthropomorphic stories, are about us and our development. So don't be scared of the test, because that's what separates the weak from the safe. All right? It's a choice. It's called Judgment Day, right? Everyone will have their Judgment Day, and everyone will have an opportunity to choose. And everyone will also be revealed the truth. All right? It's up to you to take it. And it's a narrow path that few people take, because it takes courage. It also takes humility to be humble, because they will humble you if you think that you could just buck on them and all. I tried it. I tried it, but out of prison, and I'm in office, and they stay out our way in this territory because we demonstrated the principles. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the principles in the Constitution and the treaty, which are ancient. They predate all of us. They're ancient. All right? So, consular jurisdiction, anyone looking to for more information, or maybe want to give your information, because we are exercising consular jurisdiction in this territory. We do have Morocco Consular Court up and running and functioning. And we are accepting people that are looking to apply for the positions and training. And there will be a screening process as well as a vetting process. So, you know, it's principles, it's not personality. We don't trust personality. I'm offering that to you all. Don't trust personalities of people. Trust their principles. We get blindsided by the personalities. That's why every movement that we had, including the Moorish Divine and National Movement, was infiltrated because we was looking at personalities. Look at the Black Panther movement. Even with, what is it, Judas and the Black Messiah? They showed you. Look at the man's principles. Even the movie Django, he had a runaway slave mark right here, but he was able to walk among the free. Principles. That movie had so many signs and symbols in it, but I'm not going to take too much time because I want to hear the Grand Master speak. So, and I am his student, so anybody thinking that, oh, okay. Anybody thinking that what Brother Tarik Bey was saying, or you know how the rumors are going about, oh, he lying, he don't know what he's talking, getting people caught up in stuff. I'm his student ever since 2011, 2012. And anybody that's been here back then, that's when I was going through my tests and trials and temptations that came, right? And I continued to stand. And I won the cases. I won all of them. Go on the website. The Montgomery County Mansion case dismissed for lack of jurisdiction and fraud. Not by the venue, by me. And of course, the brothers and sisters from around the world that are competent, that are scholars, that are working on our behalf behind closed doors, yeah, they assisted. I don't know who they are, but they assisted because they're watching us. They're waiting on us to wake up. So yeah, Grand Sheik Tarik Bey has told the truth. I'm proof. I'm an example of it. And the website is the paper trail that you all can study because those cases were dismissed, and they weren't just dismissed in this area. Those cases, I'm talking about Canada, Superior Court of Canada. There's an eviction case up there on foreclosure cases, traffic cases from here, DC, Oregon, and other places. And yes, we are traveling with our own Moorish tags, and we have flags on our cars, and they stay out the way. However, it's not because, you know, we big and bad. No, it's principles that we all did not know at one point. And I just proved to you all in this manual, for those that just got here, in this manual, that they know the principles. They know consular jurisdiction. And they know that it is up to us to establish consular jurisdiction. We can't keep running to people, well, where's consular court? All right, court deals with the sovereign. I'm seeing a lot of sovereigns in here. It only takes 3 sovereigns to make a court. So consular court's right here when we establish it here. Consular court, also know this, court is the paperwork. Don't think it's a building. We need a building. We got to put a bench right here in the jury box. No, wrong concept. Look up the term court under international law in the Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. Please write that down so that you all can know what court is. Under international law, the person in suit of the sovereign, the place where the sovereign sojourns with his royal following or regal retinue, wherever that may be. We can have consular court right here. All right? And with that, I thank you all for your time and your attendance. And like I said, go on and visit enforcetheconstitution.org. You'll see cases. If you want to be part of the civic classes on Sundays, you can go to the website and find the email. You can sign up. I believe soon we may do civic classes and workshops here. And with that, thank you all once again. Islam.
Islam. Give it up for Lamont.
Open up
For right now, we're gonna bring Brother Baruch. Baruch, sir. You wanna say a little something to you? Thank you, Brother Mark. Peace, family.
Peace, Brother Baruch.
How we doing today?
Fine.
Great. A couple of things I wanted to just talk about. First off, welcome. to everlasting life. Who's here for the first time? I got a couple of people. Is that me? No, that's okay. That are here for the first time. We really appreciate you all coming through, but we don't want this to be your last time or your only time, right? We serve food and everybody eats how many times a day? At least once, right? Yeah. We all eating, so we'll see you. Because you know, if you're all strong and bad and big and you ready to fight anybody, but you eating the people's food that's oppressing you, guess what? Yeah. You ain't fooling nobody. Yeah, that's why we all got high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart disease. And we've been doing this for 26 years, everlasting life. And we appreciate your continued patronage. So again, don't let today be the last day. I just wanted to make an announcement about some things we have going on. We have, and I'm gonna announce some things. I know you all might have different feelings about different things that or different events that we're having here. Just to cool up, you know, it's all good. It's all positive up in here. We got Dr. Umar Johnson coming on November the 10th. So mark your calendars for those of you who want to see and hear Dr. Umar Johnson. He's going to be right here. We got Sheila Brown. I should have done this in order. We got Sheila Brown coming tomorrow talking about emergency preparedness. That's a free class, okay? That's free at 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. Sheila Brown will be coming to talk to us. We have, of course, many of you all have already taken advantage of it. We've got our free eLife produce that we do every Saturday. You go out there and you register and grab some of that free produce. Take it home with you. Feed the family. Feed the neighborhood. We've got Brother Heru Ofori Atta, a master scientist who's going to break down the COVID, who's going to break down the vaccine, and who's going to break down all the comorbidities so we can figure out what it is that we need to do in order to be healthy, as opposed to just navigating this thing with emotions and posts on the internet and thinking that that's all you got to do in order to be safe. No, you got to do more than that. We also have a gun safety class coming this coming Thursday. Heru is going to be here on the 7th of November. We've got gun safety class coming this coming Thursday, okay? And that's Thursday the 28th of October, okay? And also, every Saturday, we have a town hall meeting. It's the We Are One People town hall meeting that we have every Saturday at 5 o'clock. Sunday at 5 o'clock. Glad you were here. Sunday at 5 o'clock. We've got our meetings, 5 o'clock. Come on in, it's free. Get information, find out how we can navigate through all of this drama that we're going through, so that, and also so that we can work together. With that being said, I wanted to also show you, we do have these t-shirts that we're offering. This is not one of our normal sizes. This is the first one I grabbed. But that's our Anthony Fauci t-shirt. Because had it not been for him, we wouldn't have had a virus and we wouldn't have a vaccine, all right? So for those of you who are interested, they're back here in the back wellness center. And we also have, for many of you, you're on this side, it's the no vaccine mandate, right? All right, so that we show support for that which we believe in. We wear it on our chest, because y'all wear Nike, don't you? No. Yeah, you wear Nike and you wear Adidas and Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all the rest of that. You need to start wearing that which you believe in and that which you support and that which supports you. And again, I remind you, we have 3 locations. This location in Southeast Washington, D.C. I brought it back home to Good Hope Road, 1231 Good Hope Road, right inside the Anacostia Arts Center. And we're also in Northwest, up right next to the Tacoma Park Metro Station on Cedar Street. So please come on through and show your support for the institutions that support you. Because how many places would have let this meeting go on in their place? No. Not many. All right? So understand, you all need to support the institutions that support you. This ain't a game, this is serious. We're at war. We need to fight, and you need to act like you're at war and not like this is peacetime. Because this ain't peacetime, family. All right, thank you very much, Brother Ali. Appreciate you. Thank you, Brother Ty. Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Good talk.
Shalom, Maurice. How many of you are here for the first time, or how many of you are less conscious of the real politics? Less conscious. All right, so this is for you, all right? And then we're going to go into some matters This is a commentary on the letter from Pope Francis to Barack H. Obama. And many of you already know that Obama stated to you all that the American Constitution comes from Muslim law. What he's talking about is the Honesty Confederation, which you were told in school is the Iroquois Confederation. That Constitution us. Are we clear?
Islam.
It was given to them to do business on our land. Are we clear?
Islam.
The other thing that you need to know, because many of you don't know, except maybe a few of you who may be Eastern Stars or Masons, is that King George III was a Moor. And you need to know that the trading companies that you know as the organic United States, not the United States Corporation Company in Austria, which has been doing business on the land after colonial operations. They're two different venues. Because remember, they're not going to tell you these things. You keep this in mind. Don't think they don't know it. They're not going to tell you, because you are the heirs who have been defeated. Are we clear?
Yeah.
You've been overthrown. You weren't overthrown in 1500, 1400. They were warring on you, but you fell in the mid-1800s. Are we clear?
Wow.
Once they took over Iberia and Germany, because keep in mind, we fell here first. Then we fell in Germany. At that time, that's when it's been downhill for everybody. Are we clear?
Clear.
And that's when they went into the rest of the areas, including Kibalan, or that side of Africa, and that's when you start seeing all of those colonies take place. And then you start seeing like the Secret Treaty of Verona and all those agreements that they made to divide up the Moorish Empire among the hybrid Europeans. And when we say hybrid Europeans, you need to know that some of you are Europeans, but you're Moors. You understand?
Islam.
Now, Europa is a Berber queen. It's not a paleface. And keep in mind, most of your territorial lands were named after Moorish queens or Moorish empresses. Are we clear?
Clear.
Because African culture is a matriarchy, not patriarchy. We sons were given, this kind of stuff to build, but women make the rules. Are we clear?
Clear.
They flipped it. That's one of the reasons we messed up. That's another information all by itself. Women make things work. We got these buttons, them suckers don't feed nothing. What's the truth? So you got to look at nature, not emotions, all right, and not ego. Now, for you for those who don't know the real politics, this is commentary of the letter that was presented to Barack H. Obama by Pope Francis. And this is a synopsis of the politics here at the Maghreb. Now, the Maghreb, many of you who may be Orthodox Christian or Muslim look at Maghreb as evening salat or evening prayer. Maghreb is this land. Are we clear? So you must know that too. That's what that French Muslim schooled Malcolm with when he went over there with that black and white stuff. And that French Muslim schooled him, said, don't come here with that nigger language. He said, many Europeans know more Islam than you'll ever know. You left home, brother. Kind of messed him up, but he wouldn't sell out. He came back, he set up 2 organizations, and they knew he was going to tell, so they murdered him, because he wouldn't take that $6 million. Betty told him to take it like the rest of them did and run. He wouldn't sell out. That's why they murdered him. And then you see later Khalid, who also understood this, start telling the public that we're Moors, and they murdered him. Said that he had a brain aneurysm in the hotel. No, they murdered him. But anyway, this is so that you understand the politics and have a comprehension of what the consular was presenting to you. So don't assume that just because we're having this conversation, like Dr. Brooks said, that others don't know this. They always knew this. Meaning in a private conversation, as an example, many of you who know me in background, you know that Muhammad Ali is one of my best friends, right? And he's eating dinner at my table just like y'all eat here. Do you understand? In private, most of them know. And most of them are pragmatic. Are we clear? Meaning that what they tell people in the public is for the club. Not that they're necessarily intending to lie to them, but because most people want the truth, but they don't want it once you tell them. They start running. Because it conflicts with their beliefs. It conflicts with their training. And so a lot of people who know will give you hints, but won't tell you, because as soon as they tell you the truth, now you're mad at them. Oh, you ain't saved, and all that kind of stuff. Oh, sure, you know, astaghfirullah, and all that. And so, you know, they just let the people stew in their nigger juice until they grow up. And pretty much that's what happens with many of the nationals who come here, and our people get confused when they see nationals come from Kemet on that side, and also from Asia. When you see like some of the Manchurian families and others, and they come here to the north, and they start making economic progress quickly, because they honor their mothers and fathers, so they're not lacking descendability, and they're not under wardship tenures. Person who are plain Negro, black, and color in Indian are under wardship tenures. Are we clear? They're all Moors by blood, but not by honor. So they're subject by virtue of that. Are we clear? Clear. But anyway, to go into this is a preliminary commentary before the introduction of the civil orders from Pope Francis to Barack H. Obama. Are we clear? Clear. And it would be well, and I would prefer today if some of the mothers would take the mic and we'll take the mic and read and share this and treat it like you're teaching your babies. Where's the mic? Take paragraph at a time. Turn that a little bit. No, turn it so we don't get the feedback. Yeah. All right, where's the free mic?
I think it's that
one. Any of the mothers? Anyone? Any one of the sisters? Oh, you've been elected. That'll work, right?
Yeah, I can see it. The glasses, they really do help. 3 issues of laws, status.
Oh, no.
That makes more sense, okay. Commentary on the letter issue.
Read out louder.
Okay. Okay.
Come on up. If you be free, come on. We're gonna put you all to work. But you remember, you gotta do this with your children anyway.
Okay. The original and de jure Constitution and government for the United States of America, North America, having a Republican form of government, set forth and established at Article, is that 4? 4, yeah, Section 4. Stands at the supreme law of the land. That organic constitution was altered by the acts of, is that Miss Pritchard? Yeah, and was secretly overthrown and converted into a foreign, privately owned, and deemed for-profit corporation in the year 1871. See the Act of Congress, 1871. That said, misprision derived in foreign, feudal law entity was styled as the United States Corporation Company, which is now commonly referred to as the U.S. democracy. That foreign and privately owned entity deceptively created the acts of sedition and all its many states of entities or its other license and associations. Corporate franchises were and are ultimately factually owned by the Vaticans, okay, being members of the Roman Curia. This politically and socially subdued truth, in fact, is actually the veiled foundation and source of the functioning jurisdictional powers that gave and still gives the Pope of Rome or the Vatican.
Keep on.
Bishopric? Okay, thanks. The colorably? Is that, okay. Valid and affirmable authority over that entity, U.S. democracy, United States corporation, and also jurisdiction over these subordinate associate entities as expressed and executed via this impacting letter. This letter, or edit titled Civil Orders, was posted on August 19th, 2015, but if this said posting is correct, the Measure Time reports that it was apparently sent to President Obama over a year ago. Being July 4th of 2014, the Pope's letter not only confirms that the United States is operating under a corporation, but that the Pope's letter also confirms that General Carter Ham will be heading up the new republic when it is announced. The announcement will be part of what is known as the NESARA announcements. This current Pope is working for the light. Anyway, don't waste your time on the political circus concerning the U.S. election. I don't expect to see one. When NESARA is announced, the new interim president becomes the president of the new republic for 6 months, after which 3 elections are held. We can then elect the interim president for another 4 years or elect someone else. The content of the letter below is pretty self-explanatory. You may want to check out the text.
Very good, very good. There's the Pope of Rome speaking to his employee. Can you switch the computer on this side so I can stop the feedback, please? There's the Pope of Rome speaking to his employee. Now, what you need to know is that the United States company that you thought and that you were trained under animal husbandry was the country, which it is not. It's the corporation doing business that overthrew the republic. You're the republic. Are we clear? The democracy order was set up in 1861 late. Openly, 1871, which is the Ku Klux Klan. All right? So they used to torture our people to convince them to become Democrats, to vote against their own good. And of course you know, and many of you who are elders know, now we don't have any more hotels, no more restaurants, and no more property. Half of you know some of your family members that had a lot of land that should have been inherited to you, and now you don't have it. Now you're working at McDonald's trying to keep an apartment and don't understand that this land is yours. And those of you who know, most of the elders, not some of you younger ones, they used to do what they called a brown paper bag test to see who the real American is so that they could discriminate against you. You're the real American. The hybrid Europeans are not Americans. They've been taking your place since the 1800s, And now our people are convinced that they are the Americans, and you think that you're some crayon. And of course, in law, that makes you not descendable. And you've played into the game. And then it's been promoted by your leaders, men and women, who in secret, most of them are 32, 33-degree Masons, got that Moorish fez in secret, have a lodge with Moorish names, learn your history, and then tell you it's the devil's worship so you don't pay attention to it. And they've been ruling you with your own stuff. And they use what is known as dark Babylonian magic and psychic attacks to keep us under the Christian black codes, which they adopted into all the corporate states in 1868. 1724, they adopted it into all the corporate states. And they reinforced them explicitly since 1868. And that's what you've been groomed under for generations. That's why our people think that they're black. And black is actually Middle English. It's not a negative. Black is actually Middle English 1100, about 1150 to 1500, derived from Old High German. It means pale colors and light spot. And our people think it means Afrocentricity, which means they can't even read. You know, but go ahead. Give him the mic. Yeah.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, say something.
I'd like to say something about the black thing. If you look at comics, you know how like they say like they got Batman, but that part on is mostly black, but that part on they look like they left some of the black out. It look like the shine.
Because that's what it means.
That's the same color. Well, almost the same color as his shirt or the European. That's black. That's what black is. That's shiny, like
that's what it means. Flame, shining.
Rims at night in the street light. Reflection, stuff like that. When we are considered white as a status, if you look in the sun, look at how dark that brother is. If you look in the sun, that's what color you see. Even though if you look away, it's like yellowish or golden or whatever. You look at the sun, you can't see nothing. It's black. So it's like it's very algebraic. Any math masters and anything, you can get this type of stuff. Like driving cars, like everything that we've been doing since we've been, we haven't lost it. We have been taught it by our mothers, older brothers and everything. We just have to extract it through the stuff that they're teaching. We already got it. We can read, write, and fight and all that. They're extracting that purity that's gonna make us win this war.
Now, I'm going to go directly into the letter, and we'll read the letter out. We'll read the letter out and take notes. And many of you have this anyway on your flash drives, those who have the flash drive.
Where do you get a flash drive?
You know about Staples?
Who got the peanut butter sandwiches?
Oh, okay.
They do. The late Dr.
Now,
He got it already on.
now I want you to pay close attention to the letter, because this letter from Pope Francis to Obama actually gives you a synopsis of the real politics. Now, this is for those, most of you already know this stuff. But for those who don't know, this is to bring you up to snuff, so you can kind of comprehend the politics that's taking place today, you know, with them ships off Long Beach and off Savannah, and they ain't coming into port, and why they getting ready to try to starve you out, why the Inquisition Revenue Services now trying to get into whatever finance you got left, and why all this crap is going on, while they're spraying viruses on you, why they're trying to kill you. Now, what Brother Ali showed you earlier when he held up my phone, I was talking to a friend of mine in Philly yesterday. She ran into me at the Reading terminal, and she was upset because her husband took her daughter and son and went and got them vaccinated, and she had told him not to do that, right? And so when her daughter came home, she put a magnet on her arm, the magnet stuck to her arm. Yes, that's what that picture was. That was the day before yesterday. So she sent it to me. I haven't finished talking with her, but you know, like many people, they're going through it. You know, but they don't listen. They keep believing in Rome. Rome's trying to kill you. And especially the mothers, females, you go in these hospitals or these places, you better start dealing with home remedies. You better start dealing with midwives again, because they're going to sterilize you. And then they're going to, the booster is actually an activator. You know, like you put epoxy together. They give you the first part, oh, this is chilling. It's all right, I'm all right. And then they give you the booster. Then later on you start getting cross-eyed. Another brother in Philly, you know, used to do the radio station. Many of you know him, right? He went and got the shot. I said, you should have known better. Next week he had blood clots. Now he's in intensive care. Was they not publishing that? But we should know by now that they're not your friend. How many generations do they have to keep experimenting on you for you to figure out that they're trying to exterminate you? It ain't racism, it's genocide. Anyway, let's get to the point. Now, Pope Francis sends Obama a powerful letter via attorney. Issued to all members of the domestic police forces. These people are all put on notice, so don't you think that none of them noticed. Back to what the Consul was telling you earlier. Don't assume because people aren't talking that they don't know this. Are we clear? So you get it out of your mind that you got to convince them. You got to convince you and your family members who think you're out to lunch. Issued to all members of the domestic police forces, U.S. Marshal Service, the Provost Marshal, members of the American Bar Association, and the American Armed Services. These organic American states of the Union, known as the United States of America, major, emphasize, so keep that in mind, because you need to know there are multiple United States, so you're going to have to know when people are throwing that word, that phrase out to you, they're saying different things. You need to know the difference. Are we clear? So when you hear United States of America major, they're referring to the republic, the legitimate order. Are we clear? The de jure order distinguished from the de facto. Are we clear? But it is assumed that proper beings who are properly erudite with education know the distinction. It's sort of like adults assuming that all adults can count, and we're not asking you, can you count? They're going into the calculation and they're assuming that you have the intelligence to analyze. Are we clear? Clear. All right. Exercising plenary civil power upon the land, hereby appoint General Carter F. Ham to lead and command the Grand Army of the Republic and its successors under the guidance of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and with their full support. Take this in because it's very important. Though it's a short letter, it's giving you the truth of the politics and history all together. Are we clear? Clear. This is present case, things that are going on right now, and the opposition that you see against Donald Trump, and which I told you all a few years ago when I was here, I said Donald Trump is assigned. Don't get it confused. He's assigned. Should it become necessary to suppress commercial mercenary forces operating under the guise of being federal government agencies, including but not limited to the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, the Internal Revenue Service, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, etc. General Ham shall assume immediate command and control of all armed forces and services owed to the United States of America, Major, stationed in North America. See how it's separate? So North America is not the United States. Are we clear? And shall join them under his command as the Grand Army of the Republic. All forces of air, land, and sea are to be employed. Any cost or loss suffered as a result of deployment of the Grand Army of the Republic shall be charged as stipulated prior. That's relative to international law that's already established. All efforts shall be made by the Grand Army of the Republic to spare life and property while undertaking any action whatsoever within the states of the Union without exception. The Grand Army of the Republic is uniquely enabled by these orders to operate on the land of the 50 organic states. That means not the corporate, not state of, all those are not organic. The organic is the aggregate soil. Are we clear? The indigenous aggregate soil distinguished from the corporate operations that you have been deceived as being the country. Are we clear? Or having any authority. Are we clear? For the purposes of lives and property of American states and American state citizens. That's distinguished from U.S. citizens. Are we clear? We're talking about the true American, the copper complexion people. Are we clear? The Grand Army of the Republic is not a foreign army and is composed primarily of American state citizens. If required to take field position, the local commanders shall make every effort to communicate the basis of their authority and the reasons for their presence on American state soil. Therefore, they must have a quo warranto present upon demand or command. Are we clear? So those things you're going to learn, those who don't know, those who do know what a quo warranto is already know that no one in what is called government authority, absent of a quo warranto, has any authority whatsoever. To exercise any authority without that, that's a criminal action, it's a war crime.
Treason.
Get competent so that you can come together and make suit accordingly. Are we clear? They should be teaching you these things, not how to march on your own land. So, for their jurisdictional operations on American state soil to ensure a prompt cessation of hostilities and a widespread understanding of the usurpations. That's the color of operations and as cheating that's been going on. Are we clear? The birthright theft operations. And acts of fraud which have led to any conflict. All parties must be brought to understand the nature of the federal government, the limitations of its authority, and their own obligation to act in favor of the organic states of the Union. The Grand Army of the Republic shall continue to operate under General Order 100, known as the Lieber Code, extant from the pen of the last Republic President Abraham Lincoln. He was the last lawful president operating here. And you know they haven't told you all that. Every president after Lincoln is a fraud. You need to know this so you understand what you're seeing in the political realm. Are we clear? You must know why you're poor now. Servitude and peonage, what you call slavery, and those genocide operations have been executed upon you. Are we clear? That's the source of your poverty. That's the sources of your broken relationships under the Christian black codes. That's the source of the IRS taking all of your stuff. Are we clear?
Clear.
All of that must be reversed. But if you're not in the right frame of mind, no one can help you. Meaning they can open the door, they can't make you walk out of it. They can lead your horse to the water. He may not drink and you ain't gonna ride far. You know, it's what it is. You know, whosoever will, let them come. Whosoever will, let them hear. By your will, you will be liberated. Not by somebody. Ain't nobody come rescue you no more. And you ain't sacrificing no more Jesuses. So don't be looking. You're going to do the work. It's in you. It was placed in you from birth. You're going to have to bring it up and be the divine spiritual people you've been fakely claiming to be for generations. You're going to have to prove it now, because you got to learn the box. Because them Satanists ain't playing with you. They've been hooking us left and right.
Yes, they have.
Ow. Ow. You know, really, they ain't playing. Anyway, no orders. Pay attention to this. This is very important. No orders, executive or otherwise, issued by Barack H. Obama pretending authority on the land of the American states while operating as President of the United States, all capital letters, corporation, nor as President of the United States of America, minor, distinguished from the Republic. That's the democracy platform, we're clear? Are owed any performance by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Ham, or any ordinary, capital ordinary. That means all officers. When you see ordinary, that's the collective of all officers. Are we clear? In every phase of government. Are we clear? All plainly stated grants of contractual authority evident in the Constitution for the United States. Small u, when you see that small u, that's the organic republic that was overthrown. That's when you all were overthrown. You understand? Of America remain in place subject to good faith performance of the accompanying obligations and treaties. Are we clear? It's Consul venue. Are we clear? Mr. Obama is the quote-unquote president of a governmental services corporation under contract to provide stipulated services to the organic states and is on their payroll. He otherwise acts as a foreign dignitary representing the United States of America, minor. In neither of these capacities is he allowed any granted authority to impose upon American state citizens, endanger American state property, or command mercenary forces on American state soil, however veiled as federal civilian service agencies. We require the Joint Chiefs of Staff and General Ham to commence measures to disarm federal civilian agency personnel and to seize control of the vast stockpiles of arms which have been improperly amassed by the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, and other agencies employed by the United States, all capital. So you need to know that's talking about the corporation, not the political jurisdiction under treaty and constitution. Are we clear? Because they confused the people by naming their trading corporation in the United States and then training you that it was a country, when actually you're under occupation. The only federal agency allowed free egress on the land of the American states is the U.S. Marshal Services, and then only when their personnel are engaged in their duty to protect the U.S. mail and sworn to act as constitutional officers. Therefore, that's where the quo warranto comes in, y'all. All other federal agency personnel are limited to unarmed service until further notice. We direct the Joint Chiefs of Staff to communicate these first two general civil orders directly to Mr. Obama, the members of the U.S. Congress, the administrators of all federal agencies, the members of the Supreme Court, and those acting as governors to compel their rapid understanding and cooperation. Any expense or damage incurred by these organic states or any American state citizen as a result of actions undertaken by any federal agency personnel acting as armed mercenaries on American state soil will be understood as a result of violent crimes committed against the peaceful inhabitants of the land and will incur immediate judgment liquidating the assets of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Federal Reserve in payment of stipulated reparations. Such crimes shall be also considered contract default, increasing the public debt subject to bounty. Any and all corporate officers of the United States, all caps, or any successor organizations inheriting federal service contracts who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest and prosecution for commercial and violent crimes. All foreign officials operating as elected or appointed officials of the United States of America, minor, who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest, confiscation of their assets, and deportation to Puerto Rico, Guam, or such other states, quote unquote, as may be willing to receive them. That's if they're willing to receive them. They might drown them. Such foreign officials include members of the American and British Bar Associations who were licensed to act as privateers against the interests of the American states and the American state citizens from 1845 to 2013 in flagrant breach of trust. All such licenses are now extinguished. All such licenses are now extinguished. Members of the bar associations are required to cease and desist assaults against the American states and the American state citizens and shall be subject to arrest, confiscation, and deportation otherwise. In so much as corporate officers operating the United States of America Incorporated and the United States, all caps, have contrived under conditions of fraud and semantic deceit to revenue the estates of the American states and living American states citizens to the foreign jurisdiction of the United States of America minor, so you can see the United States is foreign to you. They are found guilty of capital crimes, including acts of fraud committed between 1933 and 1945. And that's from Roosevelt to Truman. Are we clear? And are condemned posthumously, in so much as elected officials operating the United States of America minor has similarly committed war crimes against the American states and their peaceful inhabitants during the same time period. They stand condemned posthumously. No enforcement upon any American state or American state citizens is allowed as a result of any act, quote unquote, of any Congress, quote unquote, operating as the sovereign government of the United States of America minor, nor as the board of directors or board of trustees of any incorporated entity whatsoever. All these estates, small case, and estates, large case, so that includes all straws and all straw instruments, erroneously believed to represent the American states and the American state citizens, and which were conveyed by fraud and legal deceit to the United States of America minor, and more recently to the city-state of the United Nations, are revenued. without exception, to the geographically defined American states and the American state citizens, where they shall remain in perpetuity as assets belonging to the rightful and lawful beneficiaries.
Yes, sir.
All legal fiction entities, however constructed or structured, and named after the American states and American state citizens, are returned to them and their control, free and clear of any debt, promise, encumbrance, or obligation alleged against them as a result of false claims made in their behalf, quote unquote, by officers of the United States of America Incorporated and the United States Incorporated, uppercase, or by any foreign officials operating the United States of America minor, or the United Nations city-state falsely claiming to, quote unquote, represent them or have jurisdiction over them. Pay attention to these last paragraphs, you all. This is for those who don't know. Most of you already know this. We note that the current circumstance, that's what's going on now, you all, is in part a result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago, which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans who were summarily claimed as chattels back in U.S. government debt in wake of the Civil War. Despite every act of abolition and declaration of prohibition against both peonage and slavery, it has been the policy of the U.S. government to enslave its citizens and to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the world. Instead of freeing African Americans, the sum total result of the Civil War was to vastly expand public sector ownership of slaves, giving rise to the outrageous and improper claims that have been made against the American states and the American state citizens that we are dealing with today. It is uniquely fitting that the Grand Army of the Republic is recalled to settle this circumstance in favor of the people. Attachments. Pay attention, y'all. Civil orders. Anna Maria Wilhelmina Hanna Sophia Ritzinger von Ritzenstein von Letlow Verbeck, private attorney in service to His Holiness Pope Francis. Documents related. The United States isn't a country. It's a corporation, the hidden Vatican Crown Empire. So all this time from childhood, when you was told that the United States is a country, that's a corporate entity of the popes of Rome under the Spanish Inquisition against the Moors, who were summarily, after defeat, branded Negro, black, and colored. And then you were trained to try to use Constitution and other issues for preserving your rights when you had none, because you're not a party to it as Negro, black, and colored. Are we clear? Nor are you a party to the treaties, because no such people existed. Are we clear?
Clear.
Therefore, in order to have benefit of the oldest, running, and most powerful treaties in the world, you must honor your mothers and fathers like every other civilized people. And you can't honor your mothers and fathers because you didn't know them. Because you thought that human beings were crayons, light-skinned, orange-skinned people. And how you like that light-skinned black coat I bought my girlfriend? Well, people like that are called minor minds. That's a social status. That's not a numerical status. That's a social status of incompetent and people having low status or low position in society. Collectively, they're called black people, which socially, not etymologically, socially means dead. That means dead in the eyes of law. That's civil liter mortuus. Charles, can you look up civil liter mortuus in the dictionary in front of you, please, with your technical skills and abilities? Good. Who got the mic?
I have civil liter right here. Civil liter martus.
Give him the mic.
You read it out.
Yeah, I want them to give you the mic. Come on up here and come to this mic.
This work? This one work? No.
Turn it on.
It looked like it takes a cool. It takes a cool like it does.
Where did mic disappear to?
Right.
Check 1, 2.
Here.
Turn the button on.
Islam. Okay, yeah. Begin. All right, civil, living Martus, civilly dead, dead in the view of the law, the conditions of one who has lost his civil rights and capacity and is accounted dead in law. Civil little Martus.
Yes, that's the status of people who are called black. So when you hear the terms that there are no rights that a black man has that anyone needs or has obligation to support or to recognize, that's because you're dead. Politically, you're not physically dead, you're politically dead. Are we clear? All they needed to do was get enough sellouts among you to convince you to agree to be blacks and Negroes. And once you agree to that, and then you start doing business as black and Negro, politically you're dead by your own mouth. But because they didn't teach you language, they didn't teach you semantics, they didn't teach you etymology, they didn't teach you pedigree, they didn't teach you jus soli, they didn't teach you jus sanguinis, which are fundamental rules of society, we went out in the world thinking we knew what was up. Then getting all beat up and then accusing the world of racism. Race is the human species. What point you don't even understand that? And then the species is broken up into families, which are called nations, all over the planet. And we're the only people generally grown up that's out of order, operating on emotion and still dealing with facts. And then getting beat up and wondering why we keep losing. Give her the mic. Thank you, brother, for your help.
I was going to say, if you look at the census, when they come to your house with the paper, the mail, it also says on there that Black and African Americans are not the original people.
Of course they're not.
So everybody else is listed on there as original people except for Black and African Americans.
Of course not.
Sis, why do you think
Now
that
why?
is?
Why? Come on, come on.
Why?
Yeah.
Because we're dead. But not
No,
we.
no, because there's no such
Not
people.
not we,
No,
but because
no,
they're considered
no.
dead.
See the psychology? You keep attaching the names to yourself when it ain't you.
I don't call myself Black.
It's no. We're talking people in general.
Yes.
And they'll say, oh, they don't like, that's not you.
Right.
Those are nom de guerre. Those are war names. They're brands.
Yeah, I don't use it, but
They don't exist, Jus Soleil. They don't exist, Jus Soleil, and they don't exist, Jus Sanguinis. It means they're not a pedigree of the human family, and they're not in political allegiance. As an example, anybody that says they're a U.S. citizen, you know, you should be asking them, oh, I ain't got no problem with that. Let me see your ID. U.S. corporation got a nationality card? Doesn't exist, does it? They ask you for a driver's license, don't they? Mm-hmm. And a license is a private debt contract to do something wrong that's otherwise considered wrong by license or permission from some lord. That's what a license is. So you got hybrid Europeans selling licenses to do acts of law breaking conditionally. Say it again? Oh, go ahead.
Yes, so I have a question.
I really do not understand you talking to that man, to be honest with you.
Mic check, can you hear me clearly?
I still don't understand what you're saying.
Take the mask off there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Second?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you before, I just couldn't understand your diction.
Roger. All right, so my question is about the black thing. So, when we say black,
You just set your status in society.
well, when we say black and we subscribe to that, wouldn't that be us subscribing to their interpretation? Because
Not their interpretation, it surprises you what it is.
Because like where you say the definition came from, that's where the interpretation came from.
No. It's back up. Do you know third grade etymology?
I don't understand the question. I know what etymology
Look,
means.
come on up here. Come on up
Oh,
here.
you're speaking of
Come
the
on
root
up.
of a
Come
word.
on. Come on up here. Come on. It's an opportunity for school, y'all. Who has an ordinary child's dictionary here? Shamsuddin?
But before you
Honors?
answer the question, I should get the entire
Come here.
question out.
Come on. Let's move emotions and ego.
I don't want this to interfere.
Look. Now,
It's a study.
listen. We're all family. Are we clear?
Clear.
Now, he doesn't comprehend or understand the question because he doesn't understand the language. However, he had a presentment as what he assumed the definition was, which appears to be in conflict with what was presented. Not a lack of sincerity, a lack of comprehension, a lack of understanding, a lack of overstanding. It's called part of connotative linguistics. It's called designed animal husbandry training under the guise of education, set up by John D. Rockefeller and Frederick T. Gates, 1902, after they murdered Winona in Shakamoxon, or Philadelphia territory, and established the General Education Board and began to do what is called psychic attacks to education system on the people. So by law, he can't read. Do you understand? So because he doesn't comprehend basic third grade etymology. Not of his fault, because he was not told. Now, when I responded to him, part of his response, his body language, was part defensive emotionalism, as if I'm attacking him. That's part of psychic training. Are we clear?
Clear.
Our job is to cure that.
Correct.
Are we clear? Not to fight, to cure that. And I want you to recognize that's part of the psychology. That's part of what keeps us divided. Are we clear?
Clear.
And it also blocks people from coming to rescue us. And this is back to the psychology, whereas say if someone is trying to share with each other the workings of Yeshua, right, Jesus, right, who is of Moabite Canaanite blood, but is presented as a pale-skinned Roman. Those who know that he's Moabite speaks of him as the one with hair like lamb's wool. The one who thinks he's Roman looks at the pale face and honors Rome, pretending to love Jesus. They conflict, don't they?
Yes.
Right? So one has the anthropomorphic concept of a Jesus, and one has a bloodline concept of Jesus. So one lives it in spirit and the heart, and the other lives it in profession, but they do the opposite. Such persons will clash. That is designed with us as a people to keep us divided, right? Now, I don't have a media, because I actually traveled light, but I could take you to a child's dictionary, right? And then I would say to you, and you can do the research yourself. I would say, and this is what I do with children, when they're confused, right? I give them the dictionary and I say, look up the word black, right? And then they look up the word black, right? And they immediately go into what is known as linear entries, because that's the way they're trained in school. And you let them do that a couple times, then you stop them and correct them. And say, go back and read what you see. And they will repeat linear entry. Then most of the time they fail 3 times. You send them back and they'll do it again. Then you say, read what's there on the page. Then put your finger on every line. And you'll see that they ignored the etymology.
It's a part of speech.
They ignored the part of speech. And they went into the linear entry. So the part of speech would be adjectives. So third graders would know that it's an adjective, it's not a proper noun, so it can't be a person, place, thing, or idea. An adjective describes it. An adjective does not identify. Therefore, a child would know it can't be identity. All right? But after training, the child thinks it's identity because the parent told them that. You see the whole point? So immediately, they don't even know the rules of reading. Then they ignore the etymology. It will say in big letters in parentheses, ME, which means Middle English, right? So a being who can read knows Middle English is 1150 to 1500. So a being who can count and can reason knows that if they're coming to tell a child, you know, the ancient black history of Africa of the Bibelfetzer, no, they lying. This only goes 1100. Anything past that as a term in the linguistic form doesn't exist. Are we clear? Not only that, then you go to its derivative in the etymology, which will be right there, even before you get into the linguistics or the entries, right? Then it'll say derived from Old High German. Then it will go Biel, B-H-E-L. Then you go to the appendix. Then the appendix will tell you Biel, Old High German, pale colors, white spot. Derivatives are bleach, blonde, black, blank, etc. Shining, bright. It don't even mean dark. You were told that because the hybrid Europeans switched places with you through linguistic semantics, which is mentioned in this letter. Over 150 years ago when they were training you under animal husbandry. And that's why they say if you want to hide something from the monkeys, so instead of saying monkey, they say troglodyte nigger, which means monkey, nigger means monkey. And they agree to be monkeys too. If you want to hide something from a nigger, put it in the book. They can't damn read. And the ones that can't, won't. And the ones who are in the secret societies are pledged to Rome, they ain't gonna tell them no way. That's all the ones that march these people around. Oh, one of these days, Jesus is gonna bring you a sandwich. Give me $5 though right now. You know, and they've been doing it forever. They've been getting away with it. That stuff is over. We're gonna knock all that stuff out the box.
Islam.
With knowledge. You understand? So one, black doesn't mean what you, that came from the Ebonics training. They also put brothers and sisters among us to start talking about, well, you know, you see, because if you're black, you can make things mean what you want it to mean. No, I'm just saying. See, that's their definition. And what it really means is the carbon of the universe of the melanin of Egypt. Well, what does peanut butter sandwich mean? Well, that means black. Damn, black got a lot of definitions. Well, what does going across town mean? That means black travel. And they got away with this Ebonics game. Ebonics is a cover-up for etymology. Etymology is the fundamental elemental science that treats of the true origin, the true meaning, and the true morphology of words. All scholars around the world use it, and it came from your African forefathers. We keep assuming that the hybrid European presented these disciplines that come from Africa. All you Berber gypsies, all of y'all are Berber gypsies. Get over it. Stop pretending like you don't know, because the world ain't gonna feel sorry for us while we play these stupid nigger games. What they're gonna do is eliminate you as quickly as possible because they've created a Frankenstein. You don't know what to do with you. You become problematic. You take up space, and you make babies, and you become a threat. It's better that you become civilized as quickly as possible because they're getting ready to cut this grass. Why? Because civilization getting ready to collapse if they don't fix this bullshit. They've let it go on too far, too long, and it's become damaging, seriously damaging. But anyway, when you go home, go look in your ordinary child's dictionary, do your basic etymology, and you'll see that you've been played. Thank you anyway, bro. But now, go ahead, finish your question. Well, give me a pound while you're at it. All right, go ahead.
You know, I don't ask that to be divisive.
No, I know you didn't intend to. We're talking about the psychology that's behind that whole paradigm that keeps our people divided, not us, people divided, because they keep thinking it's a political and consanguine reality when it's a social engineering application. I'll be clear. It is not negative in itself. See, this is what you need to know, and this is what everybody needs to know. You heard about branding, right? Most of you have. What they haven't told you is its purpose, its function, meaning that a socially engineered paradigm has an engineering cause and effect purpose. They don't do it just because they want to be mean. They do it for effect. So, like as an example, say if you're Manchurian, as an example, right? So you're Chinese, and you come to another political jurisdiction and you start saying, well, where's the light-skinned yellow guy's rights organization? At that time, you lost your birthright. No, you're Manchurian, you're Chinese. Oh, you want to act like you're something else? You just lost all rights. Not only that, you're not heritable anywhere around the world. You're in dishonor. Somebody comes from, say England, as an example, is a political jurisdiction, right? And you come in certain other political jurisdictions, you claim to be white man, right? And they ask you for ID, white man, then you come under what you call a nom de guerre status, although it is colored, and white actually means sovereign noble. Because you're not. They're asking you for pedigree. You have no rights except privileges if they want to give them to you. Are we clear? So you'll see that hybrid Europeans, when they're claiming to be white, they only do that in front of us. Because we're under that psychology. Are we clear? But when they're dealing around the world, they'll tell you they're English, German, French, or Russian, whatever political jurisdiction and pedigree of their tribe is. They start playing that color games, they come under a whole different caste system. That only operates for the most part at North America. Yes. Although it's been exported socially, that operations is at the Maghreb. That was an attack on the Aboriginal people here. As an example, when they started calling the Taino and Carib Moors, Arawak Moors of the islands, Indians, which is no such thing as Indian either. Are we clear? That's Naga. Are we clear? And Naga is simply the high priest or nobles of Africans. Are we clear? And so you're talking about the Dravids or the Dravidians from Sinda area or northern Asia of the Berber tribes that moved up there thousands of years ago. Are we clear? So you're still talking about Moors. Now, when you agree to be Indian, they made that stuff up in the 1800s, which is the corruption of Hindi or Hindu, which is Sindhi, and they say Indi instead of Sindhi. But that's a verbal or dialectical corruption. It's not necessarily negative, it's just a dialectical corruption. But once you agree to be Indian, now you come under their construct of the Indian Bureau of Indian Affairs, which is a political jurisdiction. Now you're subject. However, they promised a lot of Moors, if you agree to be Indians, then we'll activate some of your sovereign rights. And so they bought into it. So they built a few, casinos and stuff like that. And then after they got settled, they started making a lot of fiat. Then the Europeans took it over. Why? They're Moors. What's the brother that did the movie 300 that died? I forget it. He was the chieftain of the Navajo tribes up there. He used to call me all the time. They dissolved all the treaties with the United States, start claiming their Moorish bloodline too. You don't see that in mainstream news. But why? They don't want these people to catch on that we all brothers and sisters. Do you understand? And then the hybrid European claim to be American, claim to be sovereign, and question everybody else's nationalities, nobody questioning him. Well, you better start questioning him. But anyway, oh yes, come on, brother. Get his brother Mike. And the peanut butter sandwich. Hold the mic for him.
What's up?
You gonna say you know how you say, don't argue with me. You go to the dictionary.
Hey, let me see the cover. This is Webster's American Heritage Dictionary of the English Language. This is actually 1800s.
Which is great. And remember, the earlier your books, the more etymologically correct they are. Because remember, usually with the international, there's an international conference on education where they come together to present connotative linguistics to control society. And so they will deliberately edit things out of your older books. That's why they will tell you, oh, those are your grandma's books, throw them books out. Let me give you the new edition. Translation, let me dumb you down.
Also keep in mind the time frame, 1800s. Know as events take place, this was prior to they talking about desegregated schools, and now you'll recognize why the hybrid European was so rebellious as to letting Aboriginals attend their schools or their institutions for learning, because then they would have to alter the information. Right here. You want me to read that definition?
All right, now, hold on. Basic lesson, and sisters, do this with the children, all right? And do it with your other children, us, you know. In those opportune times, you know. But as long as you make us feel like this, we'll listen. And you don't make us feel like this, y'all got this, you know, we won't listen. But you know how to do it. Mothers know how to do that stuff.
Good. Multiple blacks.
So, immediately, now he's paying attention. Black's an adjective, right?
So we're going with the adjective.
Go read.
All right, sax, black, and black. Black. Okay. Pale. How are those two blacks? Nice. B-L-A-C and B-L-A-C Italian. It is B-L-A-C and B-L-A-C, yep. So it's black and block. Okay. Black, B-L-A-C-K, pale.
Now I want you to pay attention to the dynamics, right? Now we're all adults here, right? Now notice how he having to guide him through this. Listen, this is very important, not to insult. It's a lack of reading skills or confidence in reading. It's part of animal husbandry training. Pay attention to body language, not just words. Are we clear? So if we're going through this to get an adult to read just elementary stuff, what chance do children got if we don't fix this?
It's not my strong point.
Why are you here? We're here. We want you to see it for yourself. See, we want you to know.
But here we got two words spelled exactly the same, but they pronounce different. So we said one is black and one is block. All right.
Now also pay attention to this. In law, right? We're over 1 minute trying to just guide through that one word. He would be declared incompetent. Shut up, go get a lawyer, quit while you're ahead. And if he keeps on talking, they're going to charge him with contempt. Then he mad. We need remove emotion. We have to fix this. part of why we're here. Are we clear? Ego plays no part. We got to fix this. Go ahead, good brother.
Pale, wan, livid, Blakeshan, Blakon, to become pale, to turn white, to become black, to blacken. And what was that first one? Blank? Block.
Now, for time's sake, because we're really taking up too much time, let's go back down here to a compound word just beneath that. What do you see right here? Read it out loud so they can hear you on the mic, because you're speaking low.
Blackmore.
Read what you say.
Oh, the one above it.
Read what's on
Black
the
man.
page.
Black Amor.
Go read.
A Negro of noun, black and more.
Third grade. Compound word.
A Negro, a black man.
So people Negro, black, who claim they Negro and black, you can see that the more is capitalized, black is small case, which means black's a straw. That's third grade etymology. Is not hidden. It's in the ordinary dictionary. Are we clear?
Oh, now, just to qualify what the brother's trying to make a point at.
Yeah.
it would
For sake of time, because
Right.
we need to get back to the lesson, give them to the table and show them.
Right.
Now, the deal of it is, we can show anybody in the dictionary, but the world already knows this. Now, keep in mind, if we're dealing with anything relative to law, inheritance, and everything, that incompetence will be used against you.
Yes.
We'll get upset because emotionally we know we're being played. Emotionally we know we're being abused. However, we cannot afford for adults to be incompetent. It doesn't work in the real world. Are we clear? You're going to go in the real world and they're going to beat you up. And they beat you up with contracts. Get you signed and stuff. Can't read. No, can't read. Read is the capacity, not just to pronounce, but to know the true meanings of words and to distinguish connotative presentments from denotative meanings. But yet both of them will be presented to you. You must know how to separate them. And if there's any doubt, there is no doubt in the sense that you already know, well, I'm not sure what they mean in that context, so let's look at the etymology. Then you go to the etymology, and it's what it is. This is why people keep getting screwed. And then their ego gets in the way. You can't reason with them. Oh, I know the Lord. I prayed 5 times this morning. You know, we go like this, and then we keep getting played. Now we're mad at everybody. We need to stop being incompetent and then being arrogant about it. As an example, ignorance has 2 levels of usual interface with people. One is where people lack information, right?
Yes.
So we're giving them information.
Yes.
Reference, point, established rule, right?
Yes.
And then there's others who are ignorant because they won't listen and they're arrogant and they think they know shit and don't know shit. Now those are the people that people let them stew in their nigger juice. Now when people come from other nation jurisdictions and they come here in our communities and they go downtown and get buildings that was empty for 20 years that you couldn't touch, and now they selling you cigarettes and toilet paper to wipe your keisters with and some salt, soap powder to wipe your butt with. And then we said, we've been here all this time, and they came here from Boston Oxelstan and got 2 stores in the car and stuff. They can't even speak English right. How come we ain't got shit? Well, the deal is they're not aware that the status is dead. They've been told it's racism and prejudice. No, it's dead political status. So certain taxes don't apply to them that are used against our people, called the Negro tax, to keep us economically strapped. Are we clear? They have access to funds, national and international, that are not afforded to black people. Black people are blackballed or redballed. Are we clear? Because they're under occupation. Are we clear? But then they don't want to hear about their bloodline. They don't want to honor their mothers and fathers. You know, civilized people don't come around talking about, I'm light-skinned, green, plaid, and it doesn't matter what color you are. Civilized people don't do that kind of stuff. Uncivilized people do. Are we clear? But they don't know they're uncivilized. Because they think that's spiritual. They think that's Afrocentricity. Do you understand? Because they were trained. However, it is social engineering that takes them out of heritable status. And in the heritable status includes even your rights and your liberties. In your law books, write this down so you're going to do this later. Land. Land, and you're going to go into your law dictionaries, and you're going to look up land, and on the surface, you may assume that it just means the aggregate soil. It includes your rights, your liberties, your inheritabilities, your capacities in society, social capacities too, your right to own property, etc. And so where you may have been trained that land only means the aggregate soil, you've been played. So we have to fix these things, right? That's again why we're here, all right? Now let's update you on a few things. A lot of this crap that's going on right now, including the IRS members of the Black Sun, some of them are members of the Black Sun, some of them are Illuminati, Satanists, and Luciferians, and Inquisition operatives. And they're saying, if you transact anything, business over $600, we want to know, and blah, 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 and all that stuff, and they're going to take your shit. All that stuff, right? A lot of that stuff really isn't going to happen. It's really to wake up those who ain't been listening. Do you understand? It's scare tactics. Are we clear? The IRS, Inquisition Revenue Service, was enjoined or absorbed under the U.S. corporation treasury for the republic, which was overthrown, which is why Trump was set in there by the military. Are we clear? Trump is assigned. Are we clear? I'm not defending Trump. I'm telling you the real politics. Are we clear? What I read in the commentary in that letter is the nature of what's really going on. Are we clear? All these other people that they told you as president, the real ones in jail probably executed.
Yes.
And they got a clone out there.
Yes. Yes.
And some actors.
Yes.
Are we clear?
Yes.
This is to wake up those who just refuse to wake up. Are we clear? But on another level, on a more spiritual level, there's also a natural ascension that's taking place with humanity because of the heavenly, or what you call the cosmic energy. This has nothing to do with what people believe in their name of religion. This has to do with divine order of nature. Are we clear? Some are not ascending as much or as quickly. Those who are not ascending will be, in the nature of life, left back. You keep it in children's terms. Those who are ascending, their consciousness is going into either the high positive fourth dimension or in the fifth dimensional capacities of thinking. You'll be able to multitask by the nature of your spiritual development. Has nothing to do with what you claim to be Muslim, Christian, Jew. All those are just labels we put on fundamental stuff to keep social controls. Are we clear? But truth is one for all life. Are we clear? Are we clear?
Clear.
Yes.
These realities cannot be stopped. Are we clear?
That's right.
The hybrid Europeans who have been governing under the Spanish Inquisition for centuries, some of them don't want to let go. They're losing power. They can't stop that.
Can't stop it.
Some people among us don't want it to stop because they got Job's, you know, the book of Job in the Bible? That's where Job come from. They have jobs with them, and so they don't want this information out. While claiming to love their people, they really don't want this information out. Because if Rome falls, they fall.
Islam.
And then half of them don't want you to know that many of them are sellouts. Because they've been saying Jesus, God, Allah, Prophet Muhammad, they've been saying all this stuff. And our people all starry-eyed and been giving them their lunch money for quite some time. You know, and they might want to start doing some rope collections after they figure out who's who. Where's the nearest tree? I don't wear ties. For real. As this stuff comes out, seriously, a lot of us in your face right now is just that a lot of people are blind because they don't want to see the ugly.
Yes.
It's not that it's not there. It's really ugly.
Yes, it is.
And it's uglier than ugly. So a lot of people, while not being directly a part of it, have been supportive of it, and they don't want to admit their hypocrisy.
Islam.
You got that going on too.
Yep.
You know, and then you got the psychology of those who've been doing like this most of their lives, trying to serve two masters. They say they don't like Rome, they only love Allah, they only love Jesus, but the real deal is they've been serving Rome, but they didn't want everybody to know. So all the wolves being pulled off everybody, all masks are off. So everybody's uncomfortable. Everybody's uncomfortable. Doesn't matter where they are, everybody's uncomfortable. This is the time for you to reflect, to see where you really are spiritually. See if you've really been honorable. And there's no one here that is perfect or without blemish. However, the leaning to what is right by divine law and what is wrong, you already knew it from your mother's womb. So don't pretend you had to go to the mosque to learn it, or you had to go to church to learn it, because you knew it from the mom's womb.
That's right.
But moms talk to them babies in the crib that can't even walk yet. Mom look at them baby acting up, doing stuff on the wall, throwing bottles, and mom look at the baby go. They know.
Yes, they do.
It was all language ain't in words. You knew too. You knew from birth. You know right and wrong without going to any of the clubs.
That's right.
So get off the thing, you know, I went to the mosque for years and that's how I learned. No, you knew that stuff. You know right and wrong. You know you wasn't supposed to bite that man's sandwich when he turned his back. Big bite still. It wasn't me. Yeah, right. But anyway, you know right and wrong by nature. And that right and wrong that is divine by nature is written into civil society called common law. Are we clear? And common law is used as the pattern for international law all over Midgard. So when you think other nations don't know fundamental common law, that it clashes, that's not true. Other thing I want to let you know, a lot of things you've been told for years, and we've always told people, a lot of things that we've told you for years is to exercise your mind. Because a lot of things we're doing now we'll not be doing later. So give you a heads up, government structures, not just here, but around the planet, that you have got adjusted to, will be dissolved.
Yes.
You will not be operating in any of these venues outside of not the Constitution for the United States, but indeed the spirit of the nature of the ancient ones that's embodied in that Constitution will be adopted by every nation on the planet. So while opportunists have been taking your fiat, oh, we're going to give you law courses on this stuff. Understand, just do that on your own spare time because you need to know these things, but those platforms are going to be dead. And name an institution, any of you name an institution that's operating at Midgard now, and I'll tell you, look again, and it's failed.
Yes.
You're not going to name one that hasn't failed. And if you don't get it yet that all of the institutions have collapsed, you're going to experience it. What we're trying to do is to get you prepared to bypass as much injury
Yes.
as possible. We, like we said years ago, we cannot stop the bloodshed.
That's right.
We can limit it, but the spirit of its solution must come from the people. It will not come from any leadership. All priesthood are dead, spiritually dead. So if you waste your time with them, guess what you're doing? If you keep giving them in your finance, you're empowering them to keep the next generation asleep. Let them be. Are we clear? And so when it says to you, Jesus come again, what it means is that the Aquarian lights energy has arrived. Are we clear?
Clear.
So you either got a new world of light, or you can go to the old world of darkness that's going to be left behind. But the rulership of that dark energy is being devoured. They intended to devour you because they didn't think somebody would come to neutralize them. Are we clear? And then they thought they got rid of all the prophets. Well, that's what they thought. Nope. And the real deal of it is more now in many bodies, so they can't get rid of them. All right? So they can't kill justice. Jesus means justice. Are we clear?
Clear.
And so the truth is what's going to kill the dark priesthood. Are we clear?
Clear.
We don't want you to accept it. We want you to research it before it becomes your own, because it can't be empowered in you until it is connected with you, in you, by you. Stop looking for leadership outside yourself. Stop looking for gods outside yourself.
That's right.
Everything is within.
That's right.
Are we clear?
Clear. Yeah.
So a lot of times people say, well, show us, take our hands and take us through the tiptoe through the tulips. Nope. You going there by yourself.
Yep.
Well, I want you to hold my hands while I swim.
Nope.
Nope. You're going to backstroke on your own. And there ain't no more sacrificial Jesus, and so get off of that too.
That's right.
None of the stuff's going to work.
That's right.
And we're only telling you to save you a lot of trouble, because you're going to find it out yourself anyway, because every time you try all these things, they're going to fail you. So stop failing, and let's look at some successes, right?
It's fine.
By dealing with truth, honor, sincerity, and facts. Are we clear? And we give you some reference points so you can go find it for yourselves, and to realize that this stuff was already known. Just because people don't talk about it, it wasn't that it wasn't known, is that you were deliberately kept in the dark. Why? Because they were using our energy. They were using our birthrights to run governments. Governments, by the nature of their structure, are parasitic absolute. They give nothing. They steal everything. Are we clear?
Clear.
Yes.
And because they have become thoroughly corrupt, they're not serving you except on a platter, and it's usually your children that keep going missing. And that's not a hypothetical. That's like for real. And so when you see them priesthood going through the ritual, I don't know what he said, but sound good. And then they go, and this is the body of Christ. And this is the blood. That's for real. They be doing it in the executor's chamber. That's in tunnels underneath the old churches.
Hell.
They've been doing it for centuries. They're vampires. And y'all thought it was just a holy roly ritual. Guess what? All that's coming out too into the public. So you're going to find out what's been happening to all these babies. You're going to find out why they did Roe versus Wade, telling women, oh, we care about women, and you have a right to your own key stores. You have a right to your own bodies. And so we're going to help you ritualistically do the sacrifice, which is called abortion. And all you was doing was feeding the burger joints after they took the organs and the blood. Because that's where the carcasses went, to the burger joints, and they were selling them back to you. And you've been eating your babies. That's why they could afford to sell you 2 burgers for $5 with a soda. Because cows don't grow that fast, y'all. I'm telling you the truth. All that's going to come out really. This thing is uglier than you think it is, and what they've done, one of the reasons they've done that is to contaminate you so that when it comes out, they can say, you've been cannibals too, so how can you talk about us doing the devil worship? That's why they got one, you can't get across the street without finding another burger joint. Matter of fact, they put signs up there, 58 billion sold. And the sign keeps going up like a cash register. And people don't know. In international courts, just to let you know, there are suits going on that they're not publishing in the mainstream news where they're suing all of your big burger joints for feeding babies back to the people. And the missing teenagers all over the place. Because that's where they, after they take the organs. And so you see them doing all these big complexes. The hospitals are no longer hospitals, they're little cities. Oh, you need a heart? You need a lung? You need a liver? We don't sell brains, they don't work too good. But everything else they be transferring, and they use the blood. Just for them, I think it costs like $8,000, as of last year, about $8,000 a pint. And so all the wealthy people have been drinking your baby's blood, according to the Catholic Church, to reduce their aging. And also they use what? They use the spleen, pituitary, and medulla, and they put them in high level cosmetics for wealthy, hybrid European women. Baby organs. And they put it in certain soft drinks, namely one that starts with a P, that everybody be drinking. That's one of the main ones. You find human DNA in that one. And if you do some research, you'll find it in many of them. So understand they're contaminating humanity, because as they go down, they're going to try to pull as many of you down with them. Are we clear? However, they're going down. So let's get that out of the way. Are we clear? So now, as you had seen, United States isn't a country, it's a corporation. Hidden Vatican Crown Empire. So all this time, when our people have been training for generations that they were U.S. citizens, they were actually, and thinking they were worshiping Jesus, going to church, and worshiping Prophet Muhammad, Jesus' cousin, who came to complete the cycles of Jesus in the Quran, etc. Because they're still Berber, they're still the same bloodline. Prophet Muhammad and Jesus is really cousins, they're just distant cousins. And Prophet Muhammad, so-called, came with the message from the prophets, from Allah, to deliver or to complete the workings of Jesus, etc. And everybody, salami, bologna and stuff, all this stuff. And then they murdered all of them. And here these people with hair like lamb's wool, skin like burner's brass, don't even know they're the same bloodline. And then they worship in Rome, and Rome been using the prophets as a front. They never loved the prophets, none of them. They only use them to get in your pockets. And anyone that comes that start telling the truth, they'll murder them. That's a guarantee. Are we clear? Anyone that teaches anything relative to divine principle, they will kill them, or they will neutralize them. Are we clear? As an example, when they wanted to promote the 33-degree Mason agents among the Aboriginal people, Lyndon Baines Johnson set up what is known as a 501c3 agreement with Skull and Bones. And so all of the preachers and stuff of all these so-called religious houses that got 501c3 agreement in secret got an oath to Rome. That's why they don't pay tax. Are we clear? But they can't get into real politics of the real history that we just read. but yet all of them know it. That's called the Great Masonic Secret. The Great Masonic Secret is you. It's not some club, it's not a fraternal order, it's you. You're the secret. And the game is to keep you in the dark, because once you wake up, game over. Now that's the real truth, and especially women. You know, now we're sons of man, right? But we're sons of God. Who's God? Moabite woman. At what point you didn't know that? That's all universal law manifested in flesh, or what is known as all law or Allah. Elohim. I came from a womb. I don't know, man. Any of you guys don't have a belly button? Does anybody in here don't have a belly button? Argument over. Argument's over. As a matter of fact, it ain't no argument. That's your proof. Ain't got to ask you whether you believe it or not. Do we? Do we? Ain't got to ask you when you got these buttons up here that don't work. Ain't got to argue that, do we? All right. When they had the image of Isis and Horus, and Isis on lap of, Horus on the lap of Isis, and then the Constantinians duplicated it with an image of Mary and Esau, or Mary and Jesus. Who's sucking whose breast? Whose son is he? So if he's the son, she's the mother. So the mother and son is all there is. That's where Mason comes from. Mother and son, that's all that's here. It's time for you to start getting this stuff together. Going back to the principles of your ancient mothers and fathers, learning those Hermetic principles from which all law is drawn. Believe no man. Go back into the mind and trace yourself. It's not hard. It's just that someone needs to tell you the truth and stop bullshitting you with all these belief systems, which are mind control systems. Because the only ones that get wealthy is the corporate state and somebody collecting all the dollars from you. They live good while the masses live poor. They mad at Jesus because he came cut that shit off. That's why they murdered him. The priesthood did it. No devil did it. The priesthood did it. Who gets blamed? And see, Jesus was doing his stuff, and what he did, see, what Jesus was doing, he came to show everybody the way. And he was just wonderful. Praise the Lord of God. And then the devil came and started kicking everybody's ass. No, it was the priesthood that did that. And they've never been charged. Well, they're charged now.
Yes, they are.
And all these assholes, politicians, priesthood, imams, and all the rest of the club always knew the truth, and they've been part of this corruption. Now the wolves pulled off of them too. And they've been lying on Prophet Noble Drawley for generations, thought they got rid of him. Well, they've been played too. Because game up now.
Islam.
Monopoly board is up. Ain't nobody got no pieces. Who got boardwalk? I ain't got a boardwalk. Matter of fact, I ain't even got no fiat left. And this is really what the game, and it hasn't dawned on everybody yet that the monopoly game has been played on you. That's not allegory. That's true. So they're throwing viruses at you to keep you busy so you don't go lynching the nearest sellout talking about, this is a house of God and shit. As first agent, y'all going, when y'all wake up to what's really going, y'all gonna be, they ain't gonna be able to make enough rope. And I'm not saying that to be joking. And I'm not saying that to wish anything on anyone, but we're talking about justice is coming. And it's going to be not what you think it is. Almost everything that you've been told has been a lie. Almost everything. And the little truths that you have usually been twisted or modified. So some things we're telling you is not to make you angry, it is to inspire you to be the divine being that you actually are. And learn language so that you can analyze all instrumentalities. Keep this in mind. Anytime anybody asks you to sign anything, if they ask you to sign anything, and particularly if they're from any agency that claim to be government, you just signed a bond. That's a negotiable instrument. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. Now with the census, when you're talking about the census, right? When you talk about the census, it's because United States Corporation Company went bankrupt again. I think it was around June 29th, somewhere around that, 2019. You can check the records of world corporations and you can see they're bankrupt. They're in liquidation. Are we clear? As a matter of fact, none of them should actually even be operating. However, because we've been so far behind, just like the Consul was telling you, we haven't been taking our places, and therefore by default, they're kind of operating. However, the quicker we can get you to think competently and confidently, if you get the point, and come together with the same energy that you went to the church, mosque, and synagogue with that same energy, the power's back in your hands, always been. As an example, show you an example. Moorish Holy Temple of Science, when Drew Ali set up the Moorish Holy Temple of Science in 1913. So the chairman and moderator and chairman put in power to make law and to enforce law if they lived according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known by all the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's a civic statement. But no one stepped up. And so by default, the hybrid European continued his de facto rule. And this is where you see in the letter where they charged Roosevelt 33, etc. But it really began with Wilson, 1913. Same year Drew Ali set up the old Canaanite temple. For your redemption, they countered on Jekyll Island with the meeting between the Lords of London and the bankers and the P2 Masons of the Vatican, and set up the IRS, Inquisition Revenue Service, and then called it the Internal Revenue Service, and they've been raping you ever since. Then they infiltrated the temples. And those of you want to know, do some research in the FBI papers and you can see why nobody in the temples talks about that. Are we clear? And so, as you can see, when Drew Ali talked, he dealt with political representatives representing the Moorish movement. Moorish Divine, not the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the world for the redemption of the estates of the Moors of the Northwest. That's you. Woodrow Wilson countered it with the Jekyll Island actions. And then people keep talking about, well, in 1913, Woodrow Wilson and his administration met on Jekyll Island, and they sold all the gold, and now there's no law for money. And they talk like that. They ain't talking about that they took your birthright. They ain't talking about they neutralized Article 3 courts, which is the proper venue for any controversy dealing with us. So all of you write in your notes, Article 3 of the Constitution for the United States, read all sections, particularly Section 2, and you'll see the only lawful courts is what? Are for ambassadors, diplomats, and consuls. You see them established, is traffic court in there?
Nope.
Is family traffic court in there?
Nope.
And then, here you got these brothers trying to wake you all up to the consular venue, which is the proper venue, and our people, for the most part, wasn't even familiar with it. Less more even being told by their so-called leader guys. So we've been betrayed on multiple levels, are we clear? Don't get mad, get even. You know how you get even? Know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Because ain't nobody bringing you no more peanut butter sandwiches, you're on your own. So, where are my training wheels and shit? Well, nope. You on the skating ring, you better learn. You're on your own. Ah, man, my knee. Well, tough cookies, got another one, try that one too. And when you decide to stand up on your own, because that's what it's going to be, ain't nobody babysitting you no more. is what's happening. You're going to learn, you're going to become competent, or you will be removed from the face of the earth by whatever means necessary. That's a message from nature, from Mother Nature, from your mom. So if Rome don't do it, there'll be some other means to eliminate you. Ignorance will be no longer tolerated at Midgard, and Midgard is this particular earth, because it ain't the only earth. And most of you didn't even know that this is Midgard. You're gonna learn, and I know the lessons are hard, but get over it and get your ego out of the way. And when some man or woman comes to try to share knowledge with you and give you reference points, don't get caught up with that personality. Look at what they're saying and do some research, because you're going to be on your own skates. And if anybody oils them, you're going to be you. So if they're rusty wheels, tough cookies. Because you've had enough time, you've had enough life cycles to learn.
Yes.
You will either ascend unto heaven, or you will descend into the executor's chamber, which you can look in the dictionary is really hell. Not a place to go, country to be reached. It's a social political condition of the priesthood. Come on, y'all. Questions and answers.
Does it have to be about this?
Huh?
Does it have to be about this?
Huh?
Does it have to be about the subject today? Because I got some real questions.
Answer the question.
Hold on, bro.
The explanation, I have some questions about that.
The what?
The explanation,
X-relation. X-rel. Oh, X-relation.
Yes.
Oh, X-relation in relationship to the nom de guerre.
Yes, I'm familiar with what it means. Just I'm not confident yet in how to apply it.
All right,
I'll just go ahead and use it.
Let's look at this.
What happened? But
Yeah, but let's look at this. Let's look at this. Now,
be right.
you know how, let's keep it in two ways so that you can comprehend. And then others can remember some questions that you ask, others want to ask, but they don't have the courage to ask.
Yeah.
So it helps somebody else. All right. Ex-rel is whereas you speak on behalf of the straw while you were not the creator of it. However, you have a default interest in it, though it was created by Rome with the Sister QV trust. So you're not saying that's you. The ex-rel speak is taking an executor position of claiming to have interest, but you're not attached to it. And it is not you.
How do I put that on paper?
With that comprehension that I just said to you.
All right.
So you would say, as an example, your free national appellation.
Yes.
All right. Then the ex-rel would be in parentheses, which locks it out.
Yes.
So you're speaking from a wardship position. So the ex-rel straw stays in a wardship position. It is politically dead.
Right.
However, it is a Sister QV trust attached to the World Global Trust, which is what they create all the bonds on. Because they keep attaching it to you.
Right.
And attaching it to your state, not without your permission. You're speaking on it without saying that that's you. That's what ex-relation means. So whenever you're speaking in relationship to the dead, because the living can't speak with the dead, nor the dead with the living. This is why, like they've created a lot of these LLCs, and then say you can't sue the state type thing. When they're doing that, that means you can't speak to the dead because they can't contest. So it also is vice versa. So if you want to speak to it, you speak so you say I, free national, ex-rel, ex-relation, then you're talking about the straw, then you speak to the things that are related to the Sister QV without saying that that's me.
Right.
That's a protection, a communication protection. See, because
I understand.
you know where a lot of people make the mistake by saying, as an example, this is where people don't get it.
Yeah,
How many of you got mail in your pocket right now?
Mail?
An envelope of any mail that's in your pocket, in your position right now. That's all right. Because we want to make sure that we're not talking over anybody's head. Because they may not know, some may not get where we're going with this. I want them to comprehend. Oh, so like if you have a mail, like mail when it comes to your house, and you see the all caps, right? That's the estate. That's the Sister QV trust, right? That's not you. But by you opening it and accepting it, they're transferring the debt to you of the United States Corporation Company and saying by default you've accepted their debt. That's why they call, yes, the national debt. Because you're the national and they put their debt on you. They're not the national. See, so this whole national debt crap is BS. All right, now, y'all can't, now, some of you can't see this, but read this out. And you notice that when you get mail, it's all capital letters. That's the straw, that's the ex relation that you reference. Are we clear? Say, if they send you an instrumentality, because 90% of the time when they send you something that's called a bill or a summons or a warrant or something like that, it's really to the estate of the Sister QV. People who can't read be thinking it means them. It doesn't mean you. But they want you to accept that it means you. Now you've made a contract and you've accepted the debt and the obligations. You see? So what you would say, as an example, and also when you see something come through the mail with that red stamp on it, and it's not an affixed stamp, if it's not affixed, that's mail fraud. If you don't have this, if that ain't on it, it's mail fraud. So already that's mail fraud. Then I see this name, all capital letters, right? Zachary Duncan Bay. That's mail fraud. Now, however, if you don't rebut it and claim it, they're assuming that they have jurisdiction. However, if you say, I, Zachary Duncan Bay, the living sentient man, rightful heir of my estate, ex relation, then put that in there, all caps, and do not accept or stand as surety for the debt of the private foreign for-profit human trafficking United States Corporation Company, nor its subsidiary state of Maryland or township or borough or city corporate entities, etc., at any point in time or purpose or circumstance. Then go and say whatever else you want to say. Now, you just neutralize that negotiable instrument. They can't bond it. That's what ex relation is. And ex rel is short for ex relation. However, it ain't you, but since they want to talk shit, we can talk. That's how it's done. You understand? So he's being conscious. He already knows it's not him, but it's not something that we discuss every day. But by not doing it, our people are trained to accept the debt of the private foreign corporation.
Since he opened that letter, he accepted the debt.
It doesn't really create a liability. It's an assumed jurisdiction until it is countered by him. This is one of the reasons.
Can I read 12 USC 95?
Yes, come on up. Oh, yeah.
That means I can get rid of my student loans?
That means that the student loans was never yours and they were discharged already. And I'm about to read you the federal law. United States Code, Title 12. United States Code 95A, A is an apple, paragraph 2 or part 2. Now, 95A is regulation of transaction in foreign exchange of gold and silver, property transfers, vested interests, enforcements, and penalties. That's what it's titled, right? And the title, excuse me, that's the subsection. The title is banks and banking. Title 12 deals with banks and banking.
Yes.
All right? So we're going to paragraph 2. On Google. Yeah, go to Google. Put in Google 12 USC.
I want to follow on that one.
Now, on this interjection, on this reversioner, that's your general position. That's the general position that you would take. This would be called a reversioner statement. Like when you nationalize your nationality card, what that is as a general position for public, right? This is what you're saying to them in the world. Are we clear? This is really what you're saying. Are we clear? Reversioner. So, reversion of a state, when you claim your nationality, you nationalize your estate, your property, not just you. This is back where the Consul was making it clear that a lot of times when people nationalize, they tell people about nationalization and our concepts about what it is are incorrect. We think it's the paper that makes you. It's the consciousness. Are we clear? So, then you insert your appellation. Because remember, name means corporation. And sometimes appellation. What'd you say, your appellation? Right? The living, sentient man and rightful heir am not lost at sea. And I affirm and declare my right of reversion of estate. And therefore I make no claim with respect to the title and misrepresented name, man of straw, nom de guerre, being a title. That's the all caps. Right? So this is an ex-rel statement. And the spurious creations of the foreign de facto United States corporation or corporate operators, actors, and owners, and I surrender and assign any and all reversionary interest to the foreign United States and its subsidiaries for full acquittance, discharge, settlement, and closure of my reliance Title 12, USC 95A, Part 2. I assume no liabilities or debts, however contrived among its associates, and I do not consent to stand as surety for the foreign, private, and for-profit United States Incorporated, U.S. Corporation Company, entity owners, directors, or their administrators, nor do I stand as surety for its subsidiaries or its associates at any point or moment in time. Then say whatever else you want to talk about. Say now what you want to talk about. They don't want to talk no more. Now they're mad because they can't bond you. Well, sign this. We need some new members of the club. Please sign this census. We'll come visit you next week because we missed you last week. They need new club members. They need to write new bonds. Because guess what? The marriage certificates and the birth certificates, the nations ain't accepting them as surety no more.
That's right.
They fractionalized them out of existence.
That's right.
So now they can't trade because they trade with bonds. Keep this in mind. We're transferring with each other these Federal Reserve notes, which are stipends. They're not money. They're stipends of private commercial paper leaned against the Sister QV trusts. You haven't been allowed to be paid since 1913.
So what are they attempting to do with the cryptocurrency? What are they attempting to do with the cryptocurrency?
With Mike, go to Mike.
What are they attempting to do with the cryptocurrency regarding us?
Get back on Mike. Remember this. Currency, these are rules. Currency is not money. Credit is not money. Federal Reserve notes are not money. Federal Reserve notes are blank checks written against a closed account. They're only honored by virtue of what is called as servitude or serf operations under trust law, forfeiture, meaning they have no backing whatsoever. They're just made by the board of directors of the Federal Reserve, which belongs to the Pope, of Roman Curia members, of the Roman hybrid European families who've been running the world secretly, and all of the governments. Are we clear? It becomes dead when you lose faith in it. It was already dead. You understand? So don't worry about that. What you want is your gold and silver back.
But what is happening with the
Get,
Moors?
I can't hear you. Get in the mic.
What is happening with the Moors that are signing up for this cryptocurrency?
No, those are what you call de facto agreements. Remember when we read earlier that all fictional entities are returned back to the rightful heirs of the geographical United States, the geographical land of American states, distinguished from the corporate? This was the orders given to Obama. That stuff was when told to you during the Obama administration. This is why when you see him doing that roasting and he dropped the mic, he was telling you that it's over. These are all signals. Then you pull up on your phone, Barack Obama and the Moorish flag, and you'll see him holding, come on, pick up your phones, y'all, come on. Y'all got phones. Y'all be looking at everything else. This is a new album. They just dropped this in the last week. Hey, did you see the last episode of Wire? Y'all know all that kind of stuff. Power and the state, and all that. Y'all be looking at all kind of stuff. Come on, y'all. Y'all faster than everything else. Come on, share with us. All right, come on. So you got a tablet. I don't carry little phones. I carry the tablet. So you can see Obama showing you the American flag.
Oh, showing the American flag.
That's the Al-Moroccan flag. You see?
United States Department of State. Benjamin Franklin wrote.
Yes, sir. Minister Plenipotentiary.
Same people that wrote the Consular Notification and Access Manual.
Now, keep in mind, as Consul Lamont was telling you, Title 12 USC 95A Part 2, which means all the debts that they've been claiming belongs to the United States Corporation, not to you.
And it says it in there. It says it. They just codified it.
This is where some people that learn this you hear them talking about accepting for value and discharge. That's what they're really talking about. Problem is, many of them who learn that don't learn that you must be in your proper person to make that argument. You can't make this argument as a black. It doesn't apply to such beings. Good.
Whenever you're in the
Give the mic.
Whenever you're in the tribunal or what they so-called court,
don't say so-called, de facto.
De facto. They
get in the mic, please.
They start to talk and whatever. According to Title United States Code, Title 31, subsection 3713, United States priority of taxes. So they actually have to address their taxes, correct?
Yeah, always.
Okay, so that means that since
only and always.
The accrued account method is interest accrues to principal. So if interest accrues to principal, then the principal is your estate that they have on
and so they're all now.
So they need to pay taxes for the transfer.
Let's look at this. This is where everybody else, where it's coming from. So when they invite you under threat, duress, and coercion to that venue, it's always in capital letters, just like you showed. So they're making a charge. So you come in there and you say, it's and your sandwiches and your sneaks are tied together, and you know we don't like that on Thursdays. and you got your wig on backwards and shit. And they start, and you know that's a charge. And they're like, damn, I'm really in trouble. You know, you be cool. You say, oh, stop the music. Object. Is there any living man or woman in this room? Because it ain't a court. I don't see no court warrant out there. Any living man or woman in this court, pseudo, de facto, that has claim against my estate. Stand up and speak up, because you're getting ready to be questioned and we're going to swear your ass in. And watch everybody get silent. Now, the administrator, he's a clerk administrator, he's not a judge. And you really sandwiches and you really didn't have jelly on it. You practicing law from the bench? I think you better step down before I go after your surety bond. Well, I think we can talk about this later. What you want to do, sit down, we'll reschedule this for January the 38th. They don't want you liberating nobody. You know, so when you see these things, right, or you see some Mason or Eastern Star come in and the magistrate turns to the left and do like this or something like that, you already know he just opened the door. But when he starts talking about, well, we're going to reschedule this for next week of this month. This is the 31st already. They just told you. So you say, well, I hereby summarily dismiss this case for a record. And I shouldn't have been here, but I will send you an unloadable call schedule for the time of you interrupting me, because I really want to go see Batman at the movies. And that's how you start talking to them. You know, but if you comprehend their keep in mind, anybody that claims to be government, anybody, has no rights. They have only obligations and duties to that Constitution and the treaty. If you keep that in mind, you know how to walk. You forget that, you let them start taking your peanut butter and say, hey, my bag is getting lighter. But you see, I'm gonna call my aunt, so I don't need them going through all that. You put them in their place. The problem is we've been out of pocket and angry because they're out of pocket. That's all. We need to get in order. The proper venue, Consular, for the moment, can you read Article 3, Section 1 and 2, and then explain it to the people? Ain't that right? That's right. And pay attention to this, because you need to know when you have infiltrators among your own that keep on trying to act like the consular venue is not proper. Here you go. This is the law. Law of the land. Read.
Testing. Islam. Article 3, Section 1. This is the judicial power. That's the power to interpret and apply the law. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their office during good behavior and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority. To all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls. To all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. To controversies to which the United States shall be a party. To controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of other states, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens, or subjects. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction, In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crime shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. That's all criminal trials. Come on, Article 3, Islam.
Now that would be, now the determination must be that the court is a court of competent jurisdiction. Therefore, quo warranto. So when you heard the consular refer to quo warranto earlier, that's what it's for. And so write that down so you get used to that, because whenever you're having any controversy, that's one of the first things you're going to look for. Don't start getting into subject matter, you know, sis, because, see, what it is, your grades are 1 foot 6 inches when they should be no longer than 11 inches. Therefore, we're going to take earrings. No. Object, quo warranto.
And that's,
by what authority do you act?
QUO is the first word, quo, QUO. Second word, warranto, WARRANTO. Quo warranto.
Now you can see by the Congress being dissolved, they can't establish no courts any daggone way.
Right.
They're done. Problem is that the sovereigns, the people of the land, are behind by virtue of miseducation, misunderstanding, and misleading from their so-called paid-off Negro 501c3 skull and bones Negro marching leader guys who have deceived you, and we have not caught up or taken our places among the affairs of men. Now, when Drew Ali set up the old Canaanite temple, he prepared you to do that. When he did Act 1 of the bylaws for the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, the Moorish Temple of Science, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the grand governors, the chairmen, the moderators, the grand sheiks, the sheikesses were put in power to make law and to enforce law. They didn't do it. As a matter of fact, they started telling people Drew Ali didn't teach civics, when that's absolute civics. And so here we are now. The people, the stuff that we're telling you now should have been told to you 90 years ago.
Islam, Taj. Right, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And she has brother too.
Oh, while we at it, can you stand for a minute, Diet? Yes. For those of you who over the years who've been looking at some of the questions, and we reduced them heavily, for the restoration of consular venue Article 3. Delilah Hill and myself, she was a great assistance in formulating the questions and the statements that was prepared for that document that has been placed around the world. That's Delilah Hill. Give her a hand. I acknowledge her.
All right, since it's short, all right. Since I've been marking or reviewing the tests, because I've been getting them in, all right, the 108 questions, all right, since I've been reviewing them, and one thing that has come to me, all right, in line with the Dred Scott thing, Judge Taney, quote unquote, the administrator, he was never questioned as to what his nationality was in the first place.
Yes.
He, you know, so it should not have even been in that venue where it was.
Improper venue. So now let's look at the outcome. Let's hold on just for a second. Let's look at the Dred Scott case, which is held as the most important slave case ever to come before the Supreme Court of the United States. The determination ruling was plaintiff in error. Now this demonstrates exactly what you're saying. So the error is that he submitted to the wrong venue, having wrong expectations. Because what? People of African descent can't be U.S. citizens because they're the people of the land. That's a private foreign corporation.
So Taney was a U.S. citizen, so,
Yes.
so how could he litigate, on Dred Scott?
If you come, now let's look at this.
I know.
If you come colored, you've agreed to a colorable venue. Plaintiff in error.
I understand that.
I think
I understand, but Taney,
he had no jurisdiction.
He had no jurisdiction
Exactly.
to examine it in the first place.
Who spoke up?
Nobody.
Here we go. Now, and what I'm saying to you, I'm already with you on that. What my response is how most people keep looking at the case like he was abused, when the real deal is he wasn't in propria persona. He didn't challenge the jurisdiction. The argument was supposed to be a consular venue.
Islam.
Is that not what has been happening? But let's look at what's been happening even today. Even when you see now on YouTube, Facebook, all the different venues, a lot of hybrid Europeans are now talking about the Republic, talking about the U.S. corporation de facto. Why? Because that platform has been dissolved and they're losing their state. Now they're making the argument, backing up everything we've been telling people for 40 years. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? But the problem that you have is that you have a lot of Moors who've been conscious, who have been sellouts themselves. They've been saying, praise Allah, Noble Ali, love Noble Ali, but they haven't been enforcing that constitution like he said in the divine warning, have they? They don't even talk about it, do they? You come in some of them temples, start talking about the constitution, they want to throw you out on your head.
No,
didn't take no civics.
Nor enforcing the Circle 7.
Concept.
That's a law book. The Circle 7 is a law book.
Concept.
And they're not enforcing that either.
Concept. So who's supposed to do it? Here we go. Chairman and moderators, and then you have your chain of command, sheiks, grand sheiks, assistant grand sheiks, that includes the sheikesses, all right? So really, sheikesses are grand sheik. They just put the feminine on it, but really, the mother's the boss. So when you say grand sheik, you're really talking about the mother anyway. So the deal of it is, the problem has been, is that until recently, very few have stood up and spoke to the Constitution and treaty, as commanded by the prophet that they say they've been following. Meanwhile, while we've been playing around for 90 years with this Moorish divine national movement, the United States corporation has folded under our feet. So by virtue of the fact that they have folded, they have lost political power around the world. They're just using the military to hold things up. Meanwhile, by default, we've made ourselves subject, except for a handful of Moors that have stood up and started enforcing the Article 3 courts. And so we're getting some remedies that they don't publish because they don't want to encourage everybody else. Meanwhile, while they're playing these games, nobody's trading with them. Pretty soon you're going to pay $10 for a roll of toilet paper. Now the people are going to start listening. But it's late. We're late in the game. Do you understand? Good. So we got a lot of work to do in a small period of time. Are we clear? For real. Now, for those of you who brought Obama up, you can see Obama showing you your flag. Now, you understand why he made those statements when he was in Egypt. And then you see why Michelle went to the Alhambra, the Red House. So now you understand the Mummers Parade, 1492. Now you understand the Mummers Parade, January the 1st, every year at Shakamoxon, Philadelphia. Symbolism of your fall. Go ahead.
Islam, Title 12, USC, 95A, Part 2. Assignment or delivery of property or interest therein made to or for the account of the United States, or as otherwise directed pursuant to this section or any rule, regulation, instruction, or direction issued hereunder, shall to the extent thereof be a full acquittance and discharge for all purposes of the obligation of the person making the same, and no person shall be held liable in any court
for or in respect to anything done or omitted in good faith in connection with the administration of or in pursuance of and in reliance on this section or any rule, regulation, instruction, or direction issued hereunder. That's the discharge clause. So it was discharged. The reason why they called it settlement and closing is because they're closing it. The account's closed now. The account is the Sister Q Trust estate that's written in all capital letters that looks like your name. So it's discharged already. And this is why. Part 3. As used in this subdivision, the term United States means the United States and any place subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What does the 14th Amendment say? Any persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What does the Black's Law 4th edition say about the term person under the 14th Amendment? Corporation. So we still, part 3. As used in this subdivision, the term person means an individual, partnership, association, or corporation. So guess what? The obligation of the person, United States. So the United States put a debt against itself, which is the all cap name. That's the United States too.
So the national fraud, the alleged national fraud or national debt that they're trying to put on you doesn't exist.
Because you can't have a debt against yourself. Not you,
but the deal is it never was you. It was always theirs. So any debts that they claim on you, like if you've been, and more than likely before this year is out, if you have any mortgage payments, they'll probably be dissolved. They'll probably be cut off. Now, one of the things that's being done in the background is that IRS, the members of the Roman Curia, are going to be forced to give back to you everything they took from you from childhood. From anything with that marriage certificate, bonded against the marriage certificate, any bonds against the birth certificate, any bonds against the CDLs or licenses, etc. Anything the IRS took from you, all taxes, including interest, including what you never got paid for, will be returned to you. That's what's being negotiated right now around the world. So all this other BS that's being played to you is to frighten you and to wake you up at the same time, because many of you have been so retarded that you just don't get it. And so they're doing all this same, now you need 3 masks, now you're gonna need a mask on your ear. That don't make sense. Now you need 5 boosters, it's to wake you up. None of that stuff's gonna happen. Really, it's just that everything is collapsing if they don't wake you up, because the real deal is, if you become too much of a problem in war times, you're expendable. They will literally kill you. So we're going to have to civilize these people quick. That's for real, because they can't allow this nigger problem that has been artificially created to continue at Midgard. Or if they do, civilization will collapse. Now, so in war, you're expendable. So you either come into the light or be in the dark, is what it is.
You gotta be the light. You gotta be the light.
Hey, Islam, everybody give it up. So there was a notebook being passed around earlier, man. Make sure everybody got their number and their email on there so we can pass it around again. What we're gonna start doing too, we're gonna start back going to our Tuesday classes, like every other Tuesday. And sometimes we have some things like this on Saturday. Cool? So, thank you for coming out. And till next time, peace. Peace.
warfare. Red alert, it's warfare. We mentally and physically caught in the crosshair. The fight is for the soul, so many have lost their son. They trying to change your image like women in false hair. The cross bear, the image that the lost share. Unaware Satan's declared war and all's fair. It cost their souls a fortune. The scorching 70 times hotter than the earth's portion. Caution, red alert, caution. They sizing up my people like a slave auction. I told us taking on the soul of every lost one. Run, son, better yet, retreat, son. The beast run the system for a simple reason. Control thoughts that haven't been taught is treason. Think, son, better yet, reflect, son. The rate of maximum state pen erection. The modern day enslaving of dark complexion. With this wicked prison industrial complex, son. Red alert, red alert, red alert. All I got to use, I'm calling. This is an urgent warning, because a storm is coming. Red alert, we don't need no more inequality. And we can't take no more police brutality. So when we